Welcome to Wife Cheating Story. I hope you have an enjoyable and relaxing time listening. Let's get started.
Ivan's hands clenched as he watched through the slightly ajar guest room door. Francesca, his wife of 7 years, leaned close to Toby, his best friend and business partner, giggling softly as Toby whispered, "Hez clueless, but watch out. Don't let him see you texting me." Then, Toby kissed her temple. Ivan's chest tightened, fury boiling beneath his calm exterior. He stepped back silently, the betrayal cutting deeper than he'd imagined. Were they just conspiring, or was it something worse? This wasn't paranoia, it was real, and it was happening under his own roof. How far would they go, and how far would he retaliate? Chapter 1. The night that changed everything. Ivan adjusted the cufflinks on his dress shirt, glancing at the reflection in the foyer mirror. He was 34, tall, sharp-featured, with short dark hair and a quiet intensity behind his eyes. It was a Saturday in early spring, and he was hosting a small house gathering, a casual friends' night at the suburban home he shared with his wife, Francesca. The plan was simple: some drinks, good music, laid-back conversation, but a low buzz of anxiety prickled at him. He couldn't place it, but it felt like an off-key chord in an otherwise normal tune. "Ivan, honey," called Francesca from the living room. "We only have a few minutes before people arrive. Did you arrange the snack trays?" Ivan paused, exhaling. Snack trays. Sure. Focus. The tension in his gut felt odd. Maybe he was just tired. He'd pulled long hours at the advertising agency, dealing with a finicky new client. Francesca, at 32, was once sweet and supportive, but lately, she seemed distant, quick to snap at him or dismiss his attempts at conversation. He'd chalked it up to stress from her own job at a local interior design firm. Tonight might be a chance to relax, or so he hoped. He walked into the living room, trays of hors d'oeuvres in hand. The house was modestly upscale, a warm palette of browns and creams, touches of Francesca's decorating flair. She was there wearing a stylish burgundy cocktail dress that accentuated her figure, her makeup meticulously done. She flashed him a quick smile, but her eyes flicked away almost immediately. Another pang of that uneasy feeling jolted him. He set the trays down, stepping close to her. "You okay? You seem preoccupied." She blinked. "I'm fine. Just a bit stressed about Toby's arrival and all. You know how he loves to critique every little thing." Toby Tobias was Ivan's business partner at the ad agency, a friend from college days. Normally, Toby teased them good-naturedly, but recently Ivan sensed Toby drifting into Francesca's social circle more than was usual. Another rung of tension in Ivan's chest, but he shook it off. "Sure, let's keep him in check," he joked. Ding-dong. The doorbell rang, even plastered on a host's polite grin. First to arrive was Danielle, a close friend of Francesca's. Mid-30s, talkative, wearing a bright green top. She air-kissed Francesca, gave Ivan a lukewarm hug, then launched into a story about her day. Ivan half listened, scanning the driveway for the next arrival. Not far behind was Toby, stepping out of a sleek sedan. Beside him was Nicholas, a mutual friend from the local sports club, someone Ivan only half trusted. Nick was tall, with an easy grin and a charismatic vibe. Toby was shorter, blonde, chatty. As the trio stepped into the house, exchanging lively banter, Ivan picked up a vibe he couldn't quite decode. Toby nodded at Ivan, then turned quickly to Francesca, chatting with a certain familiarity that made Ivan's pulse tick up. Nicholas gave Ivan a pat on the shoulder. "Hey, buddy, how's the agency world? Heard you guys nailed that automotive account." Ivan forced a smile. "We did. It's a big deal, hoping it cements our place in the region." Toby cut in. "All thanks to your unstoppable pitch skill, right, Evie?" But his tone sounded more sarcastic than praising. Francesca let out a short laugh, then glanced away. Ivan's stomach churned. Something was off. A few more friends arrived: Clara from Francesca's design firm, and her husband Leon, plus a handful of acquaintances. Soon, about a dozen people milled about, sipping wine or craft beer, sampling hors d'oeuvres. The living room filled with easy chatter. Yet Ivan remained on edge. He spotted Francesca in a corner with Toby, the two speaking in low tones. Danielle hovered near them, eyes darting to Ivan now and then. He felt a subtle vibe of secrecy. Half an hour in, Ivan circulated the room, ensuring everyone had a drink. As he approached Francesca, Toby, and Danielle, conversation abruptly halted. Toby coughed, changing the topic to the new ad campaign. Francesca gave a forced laugh. Danielle took a gulp of wine, awkwardly smiling at Ivan. The hush that followed was unnatural, like they were caught. Adrenaline prickled in Ivan's veins. He discreetly watched for further hints. Francesca's phone buzzed repeatedly. She'd glance at the screen, smirk or stifle a grin, then tuck it away. Toby rummaged with his phone as well, shooting Francesca quick looks. Nicholas, across the room, seemed to watch them with mild amusement. Something about the dynamic spelled hidden alliances. Are they gossiping about me? Something else? Eventually, Ivan retreated to the kitchen, flipping open a small notepad from the ad agency. He scribbled times and possible clues like a mini-detective. It felt paranoid, but the tension was impossible to ignore. If Francesca was up to something, Toby might be aiding or at least encouraging it. But what exactly? Another vibration of dread coursed through him. Midway through the evening, Danielle approached him with forced cheer. "Ivan, why not lighten up? Join us for a round of shots. You seem aloof." He smiled politely. "I'll pass. Someone has to keep a clear head." She scowled. "Well, Francesca's having fun. Don't be a wet blanket." Then she wandered off, sneering slightly. Moments later, Toby and Francesca slipped down the hallway toward the study. Ivan, suspicious, followed quietly. He peered around the corner in time to see Toby hand Francesca his phone, quietly pointing at something on the screen. She giggled, biting her lip, leaning closer. Toby hissed, "Shouldn't show him, yet keep it hush." Francesca nodded. They parted quickly. That snippet of conversation hammered at Ivan's anxiety they had a secret to hide. He forced himself not to confront them in front of guests. Instead, he'd wait, gather real proof. One misguided blow-up might let them label him as paranoid. No, he'd be cunning. Nicholas soon sidled up to Ivan. "Man, you look tense. Your own party, you should relax." He clasped Ivan's shoulder, a bit too intimately. "You know Toby and Francesca are just longtime pals, right? No need to overthink." The remark, unprompted, fueled Ivan's suspicion Nicholas was covering for them. Ivan replied with measured calm. "I'm not overthinking anything, Nick. Everyone's an adult. If they're up to something, it'll come out." Nick stiffened, eyes flicking aside. I guess so. But no drama, yeah? We're all friends." "Friends? Hardly," Ivan mused. "If they think they can run a con behind my back, they're in for a rude awakening." He nodded politely, letting Nick wander off, faking a carefree vibe. Near the end of the night, a minor confrontation erupted. Ivan walked down the hall, noticing Toby pulling Francesca into the guest room, door ajar. Toby whispered, "He's clueless, but watch out. Don't let him see you texting me." Francesca hissed back, "I can handle Ivan. He's too preoccupied to suspect." Toby planted a quick kiss on Francesca's temple. She giggled softly, leaning in. Ivan's heart pounded with fury, a direct sign of intimacy. He clenched his fists, stepping back to avoid being spotted. So it's not just rumors. They're physically close. A swirl of betrayal and rage seethed inside him. But he reined it in. He refused to blow up just now. Let them finish their little charade. He needed a strategic approach, not an outburst. He retreated quietly, returning to the living room. Some guests were already leaving, giving half-hearted goodbyes. Nicholas hovered by the door, likely ensuring Ivan didn't barge in. The fact Toby was comfortable enough to corner Francesca in the guest room under Ivan's own roof enraged him. But outwardly, he remained calm, plotting his next move. Around midnight, the last guests trickled out. Toby left with Nicholas, and Danielle offered Francesca a ride. Francesca refused, claiming she'd stay with Ivan. Danielle gave them a strange look, then departed. The house fell quiet, tension humming in the silence. Ivan locked the door and turned to find Francesca leaning on the couch, arms folded. She wore a defensive expression. "Thanks for not making a scene," she said sarcastically. He exhaled, stepping closer. "That's interesting phrasing. You and Toby were the ones sneaking around." Her eyes flashed. "What do you mean?" He leveled a stare. I saw you, in the guest room. Let's cut the bullshit. Francesca stiffened. So what if we talked in private? We had business to discuss. Toby needed my advice on some design layout for an office. God, you're paranoid. Ivan's lip curled. Business? That's quite the design layout you were whispering about with Toby's phone, and you're giggling. Don't lie to me, she snapped, and if I do, you can't prove anything. He glared, fists tensing. You want me to blow this wide open? Maybe you'd like me to gather phone logs, chat records? She laughed bitterly. Oh, please. Toby's too clever to leave traces, and even if you do find something, who'd believe you? Everyone's on our side. Ivan's jaw tightened. We'll see. Mark my words. If you're cheating with Toby or plotting behind my back, the consequences won't be mild. She flung an empty wine glass, smashing it against the wall. You can't control me, Ivan. I'm done playing your docile wife. She stormed to the bedroom, slamming the door. In the aftermath, Ivan stood amid shards of broken glass, emotions roiling. He realized the old version of him would confront her with raw anger, but that might lead to him being labeled the villain. Instead, he'd adopt cunning, gather undeniable proof, and systematically dismantle Toby and Francesca's little empire of lies. He grabbed a broom, swept up the shards, then sank onto the sofa. He typed a short message to a discreet private investigator contact he'd once used for corporate due diligence. Need your services. Urgent. We'll pay top dollar. Call me first thing tomorrow. He set the phone aside, staring at the silent hallway leading to the bedroom. He could imagine Francesca inside, texting Toby, or maybe fuming about how to manipulate the narrative. No more illusions, he decided. I'll show them exactly who they're dealing with. Ivan's phone buzzed around 1 a.m. He grabbed it, seeing an unknown number. The message read, Lay off, Ivan. If you stir up drama, you might regret it. Toby. A direct threat, from Toby's burner phone, perhaps. Ivan smirked, thumbs tapping a reply. Is that so? Let's see who regrets what. No further messages came. Toby apparently thought intimidation would scare Ivan. Foolish. Ivan hammered down any lingering hurt that Toby, once a friend, was now an enemy. Tomorrow, the lines would be drawn. He poured himself a stiff drink, sat in the dimly lit living room, and let the scotch burn down his throat. The sense of betrayal mingled with a dark excitement. He was no longer powerless. This was a war he'd wage on his terms with zero mercy for those who crossed him. Ivan drained his glass, the bitterness fueling him. No more illusions, no more friends. He'd gather evidence, protect himself legally, and deliver a crushing blow that neither Francesca nor Toby would see coming. He rose, heading to the spare bedroom to avoid sleeping beside a traitor. As he closed the door behind him, his jaw set in cold determination. If Francesca wants to cheat on me with my partner, I'll destroy them both and anyone else who dares side with them. Tomorrow, the real game begins. Chapter 2. Launching the investigation at dawn, Ivan woke early, mind alight with strategy. He texted the private investigator he'd contacted, a man named Rick Palmer, a former law enforcement detective with a reputation for thoroughness. Ready. Meet at 8 a.m., Cafe Brooks. No going back now. Entering the kitchen, he found Francesca rummaging for coffee, eyes puffy with anger. They exchanged no words, just the tension of two adversaries under one roof. She slammed a cupboard shut, muttering, "You're insufferable." Ivan ignored her barbs. Soon he'd have the upper hand. He left for Cafe Brooks, a small, discreet spot near the city's east side. There, at a corner table, sat Rick Palmer, tall, early 50s, a weathered face that once wore a detective's badge. Ivan joined him, ordering black coffee. Rick raised an eyebrow. "Serious as always, Ivan. What's the job?" Ivan exhaled, explaining his suspicion that Francesca was cheating with Toby, that others might be aiding them. "I need concrete evidence photos, call logs, whatever. Enough to present in a potential divorce or legal confrontation. Also, I suspect Toby might be attempting to push me out of our ad agency with Francesca's help." Rick nodded. "Understood. You want a quiet approach? No tip-offs, until you have a knockout punch. I can do that." Ivan slid an envelope of retainer cash across the table. "Understood. Gather everything you can. I want them with no escape." Rick shook his hand, promising daily updates. Sipping coffee, Ivan felt a grim satisfaction. He'd systematically record their betrayal, then use it to secure an uncontested divorce, possibly more. He refused to be cast as the angry, paranoid husband. He'd be the calm avenger. By 9 a.m., Ivan stepped into the offices of Bridge & Holt Advertising, the mid-sized agency he co-owned with Toby. The open-floor plan bustled with designers and account executives. Some staff gave Ivan cautious nods. They sensed tension between him and Toby, though not sure why. He strode to Toby's glass-walled corner office, ignoring the receptionist's attempts to stop him. Toby sat behind the desk, eyes flickering with surprise. "Ivan, you're in early." Ivan closed the door. "We have a new automotive campaign pitch this Friday. Let's ensure it's handled properly. Also, I want a forensic review of my finances. I'm not mixing anything with personal life. Understood?" Toby frowned. "Why so formal, man? We're partners. That's always been your domain anyway." Ivan's gaze was ice. "Just do it. No more questions." Toby forced a laugh. Right. Listen, about last night," Ivan cut him off. "No small talk, Toby. Let's keep it professional." Toby scowled, but nodded. The tension hummed. Ivan walked out, deciding he'd watch Toby carefully. If Toby tried any corporate sabotage or used the affair to manipulate office politics, Ivan would be one step ahead. That afternoon, Francesca texted Ivan, "We need to talk. Toby and I just want to keep everything civil. Don't make a spectacle." He read it with a sneer. She wanted civil after sneaking around. Hypocrite. He typed back a single line, "Talk to my lawyer." Within an hour, she phoned him, voice tense. "Ivan, this is silly. Toby is just a friend. Don't blow up your life over paranoia. We can solve this quietly." He retorted calmly, "If Toby's just a friend, you have nothing to fear from an investigation, do you?" She paused, then hung up, frustration clear. Ivan smirked. She was rattled. While Ivan checked the latest ad campaign drafts, two longtime employees, Mason and Kim, approached his desk. They wore uneasy expressions. Mason cleared his throat. "Ivan, Toby says you've been causing friction at the top. We just want to ensure our jobs are safe." Ivan gave them a thin smile. "I have no intention of firing anyone who does their job well. Toby's personal issues with me won't affect you." Kim sighed relief. "Thanks. We only heard rumors about a big fight. We're worried." Ivan nodded. "Focus on the campaign. The rest is personal." Inwardly, he noted Toby was likely spinning narratives that Ivan's off his rocker, but staff seemed to sense Toby's manipulation. "No matter, I'll handle Toby soon." Ivan turned back to his computer, ignoring their whispered concerns. That evening, Rick texted, "Got partial photo evidence. Toby and Francesca meeting at lounge after work. More soon." Ivan's heart clenched. He wondered if Toby bragged about their victory or teased Francesca with new ways to corner Ivan. He texted Rick to keep going, gather audio if possible. At home, Francesca was out with girlfriends, presumably the same group. Actually, as the photo indicated, she might be with Toby. Let her think he was none the wiser. He spent the evening quietly finalizing an expense report. At midnight, Francesca stumbled in, reeking of wine. She didn't even greet him, just clomped upstairs. He listened to her drunken mumbling, feeling cold fury. "Keep playing your game, Francesca. Soon we'll see who laughs last." The next morning, Rick called with an urgent update. "Be aware, Francesca might be collecting intel on you as well. My contact overheard Toby saying, 'We can paint Ivan as unstable,' claiming he threatened you physically. That might break him in court. They might try a restraining order." Ivan cursed under his breath. "They plan to claim I'm abusive? So they can lock me out of the house, hamper me financially." He thanked Rick for the heads-up. Then he texted Miss Harding, a family law attorney he'd consulted occasionally. "Need official counsel. She's planning a false abuse claim. Let's prepare." Miss Harding responded swiftly, "Understood. Document all interactions, remain calm. Let's gather witness statements if possible." Ivan resolved to keep everything professional and avoid any scenario where Francesca could claim harm, even if it meant sleeping in a separate location. Fine. He'd do whatever it took to prevent their framing attempt. That afternoon, Toby tried cornering Ivan in the hallway, scanning if anyone was around. "Ivan, let's be real. You're blowing a minor issue into a crisis. Francesca's lonely. You've been distant. She just needed a friend. Don't nuke your marriage or our partnership." Ivan stared him down. "I see. A friend who sneaks around, kisses her in my guest room, threatens to twist the narrative. Great friend indeed." Toby flinched. Did you see something?" "It's not what you think," Ivan retorted, voice low and lethal. "I think you're a snake. My advice, stay the hell away from me outside of official agency business." Toby snapped. "You'll regret this hostility. Francesca can accuse you of mental abuse. We can lock you out. Don't test me." Ivan calmly returned, "I'm done here." He walked away, ignoring Toby's sputtering. The war lines were fully drawn now. That evening, Ivan met Miss Harding at her law firm's plush conference room. She was late 40s, crisp-suited, eyes steely behind frameless glasses. After hearing the gist, she stated, "We'll file a no-fault divorce request if you prefer, but if they escalate with false abuse allegations, we can pivot to a contested approach. We'll also want evidence of adultery. Do you have any?" Ivan handed over Rick's initial photos of Toby and Francesca hugging in a lounge corner, time-stamped. Miss Harding nodded. "We'll gather more. Meantime, keep communication with Francesca minimal in writing where possible, so she can't fabricate verbal threats." Ivan exhaled, relieved to have a plan. "They want to drag me down. I want to preempt them. Let's show no mercy." Harding smirked slightly. "If they continue the aggression, we'll respond in kind. You're paying me well, after all. Let's do this." A few days later, Rick alerted Ivan that Francesca visited a local urgent care, claiming bruises on her arm from domestic abuse. The doctor's note, however, was inconclusive, suspecting no consistent sign of assault. But Toby and Francesca might attempt to waive it as proof. Miss Harding recommended Ivan keep a private camera system at home to show he never touched her. They installed a discreet set of hallway cams just in case. The tension soared. Ivan read Toby's smug text. "Any day now, the court might side with us, buddy." Ivan typed back, "Your funeral." Toby responded with some laughing emoji. Ivan rolled his eyes, a petty exchange before the final storm. Ivan concluded the night by emailing Rick for a daily update. So far, the camera footage and bar photos documented Toby and Francesca meeting multiple times, intimately. Miss Harding prepped for an emergency hearing if they filed a false restraining order request. Meanwhile, Francesca milled around the house, ignoring Ivan, texting Toby constantly. The hostility felt thick as tar. Ivan felt a surge of determination. Let them come for me with lies. I'll bury them in proof. He retreated to the spare bedroom again, clutching the phone with a quiet sense of control. They think I'm some docile fool who'll break under pressure. They have no idea how far I'll go to protect myself and expose their betrayal. The wheels turned ever closer to a final blow. Chapter 3. Escalation and Hidden Allies. Sure enough, a week after Miss Harding warned him, Francesca petitioned the local court for a temporary restraining order, claiming Ivan posed a physical threat. She included the dubious bruise photos and a statement from Toby. The judge, however, scheduled a hearing instead of granting it outright. He smelled something fishy. Miss Harding prepared Ivan's defense, the home cameras proving no aggression, plus Rick's timeline showing Francesca was with Toby, not battered at home. The day of the hearing, Francesca's lawyer tried painting Ivan as controlling, unpredictable. Francesca feigned tearful distress. Toby claimed he witnessed Ivan yelling at her. Miss Harding calmly produced camera footage from that exact daytime. Ivan was at the ad agency, not even in the house. The judge glowered at Francesca, calling her evidence insufficient, contradictory. He denied the restraining order, warning Francesca about perjury. Toby left the courtroom pale-faced, Francesca fuming. Ivan left triumphant, Miss Harding smirking. Back at Bridge and Holt Advertising, Toby faced internal pushback. Some staff caught wind that Toby tried to smear Ivan with false abuse claims. This caused a morale crisis. They liked Ivan. Clients got word, too, questioning Toby's ethics. The tension around the office soared. One afternoon, Toby confronted Ivan privately, nearly shouting, "Why are you letting rumors swirl? It hurts the agency." Ivan retorted, "You brought your personal lies to the courtroom, Toby. Don't blame me for your fallout." Toby banged his fist on a desk. "We built this together and you'd watch it burn over Francesca?" Ivan glared, voice controlled. I'm not burning anything. You set the blaze by betraying me. If the agency crumbles, it's on you. Toby fell silent, rage contorting his features. He realized the staff sided with Ivan. The betrayal had backfired. Danielle, once firmly in Francesca's corner, had second thoughts after seeing the judge call out Francesca's false evidence. She quietly reached out to Ivan, apologizing for siding blindly with Francesca. I didn't realize how manipulative she was. I feel guilty, she said, meeting Ivan at a neutral coffee shop. Ivan listened warily. Why the change of heart? Danielle sighed. Because I saw Toby forging text messages. Francesca asked me to back them up. I refused. Now I realize you were the honest one. She offered to testify if needed. Ivan nodded slowly. If you're genuine, then put it in writing. My lawyer will keep it on file. Danielle agreed, looking remorseful. She also mentioned that Toby and Francesca were making desperate claims about Ivan planning a major scandal. Another sign of their paranoia. Ivan thanked her for the intel, though he remained cautious. Rick emailed Ivan a batch of new photos. Toby and Francesca leaving a motel on the outskirts, arms around each other. Time-stamped. They were amateurs at hiding, it seemed. Another set showed Toby handing Francesca an envelope in a dark parking lot, likely hush money or collusion documents. Rick also had partial audio from a bug placed near Toby's car, capturing them discussing forging more evidence. Dynamite material, Miss Harding said. If introduced in court, it'd destroy any credibility Toby or Francesca had. Ivan marveled at Toby's stupidity. They tried forging abuse allegations while openly hooking up. Meanwhile, Rick's meticulous approach netted all the proof. Miss Harding was confident. Once we push for a final divorce settlement or potential civil suits for defamation, we can crush them. Ivan nodded, satisfied. They chose war. War is what they'll get. One Friday afternoon, Toby cornered Ivan in the conference room in front of the staff, possibly hoping to spin a narrative. Toby started ranting about Ivan's erratic behavior, personal vendettas, and threatened an official board vote to remove Ivan from the partnership. But staff members like Mason and Kim interjected, revealing Toby's scandalous attempt to frame Ivan. They demanded Toby produce real evidence or step down, Toby stammered, referencing Francesca's false bruise claims. Staff rolled their eyes, unimpressed. Ivan calmly stated, "The court threw it out. We have camera proof." The staff murmured agreement. Toby stood humiliated. He stormed out, shouting, "You'll regret this, all of you." The meltdown was public, staff loyalty firmly behind Ivan. Within days, Toby's meltdown accelerated. Several major clients demanded to work only with Ivan or threatened to leave. Toby tried claiming partial ownership, but the board of directors, the non-partner investors who funded expansions, saw the risk in Toby's tarnished image. They quietly negotiated with Ivan. If Ivan stays, Toby can be forced to sell his shares. Miss Harding oversaw the negotiation. Toby, outmaneuvered, raged but had no legal recourse. Eventually, Toby caved, selling his interest at a fraction of the original value. He effectively got booted from the agency he once co-founded with Ivan. Ivan accepted the buyout deal. Now he was the undisputed lead partner with major equity. Mason and Kim stepped up as new managers. Toby left in disgrace, cursing under his breath about that backstabber Ivan. But in truth, Toby had stabbed first. With Toby gone from the agency, Francesca lost a key ally. She tried a last-ditch approach, texting Ivan, "If you drop all claims of adultery, I'll sign a no-contest divorce. Let's not ruin each other further. Toby's out of your life anyway." Ivan read the message with a dry laugh. Now she wants peace, miss. Harding suggested it might be a decent deal if it grants him full business control, no spousal support, etc. He replied, "We settle on my terms. No spousal support, no illusions. You publicly admit wrongdoing." She refused at first, then realized she had no bargaining chips. Toby's meltdown signaled to everyone that she was part of the fiasco. Eventually, she texted acceptance, swearing, "This is humiliating, but I'm tired." In a last gasp of madness, Toby tried one final stunt. He confronted Ivan in the agency parking lot at night, brandishing a small crowbar. Toby, red-eyed, ranted about losing everything. The agency, Francesca, who apparently cooled on him, realizing he offered no security, his reputation. He accused Ivan of orchestrating his downfall. Ivan stood poised, no fear, quietly recording with his phone behind his back. Toby lunged with the crowbar, screaming, "You ruined my life!" Ivan sidestepped, hooking Toby's arm, disarming him with surprising agility. Toby stumbled, cursing in shock. Mason, who was in the building, rushed out, calling security. Toby spat on the pavement, raging, but no real fight emerged. Security pinned Toby down, waiting for cops. Ivan told Toby calmly, "You did it to yourself. Now face the consequences." Toby wailed, seeing the camera footage. He just incriminated himself in an attempted assault. The cops arrived, arresting him. Another humiliating end for Toby. Meanwhile, Ivan walked away, unscathed, his phone brimming with new evidence if Toby tried more stunts. Days later, Miss Harding announced Francesca's lawyer had caved, a no-contest divorce, acknowledging the irreconcilable differences with an addendum that neither party would blame the other publicly, but no spousal support demanded by Francesca, and an explicit note disclaiming any leftover synergy property or shared debt. Miss Harding called it a total win for you, minus the drama. Ivan signed, satisfied. The judge approved it swiftly. The legal marriage ended. On the final hearing day, Francesca appeared subdued, wearing a conservative outfit. She avoided eye contact with Ivan. The judge read the settlement, declared them divorced. She tried to say something as they exited Ivan I, but he held up a hand. "We're done, Francesca. Good luck." He walked out, heart pounding with relief, freed from the shackles of a toxic union. Ivan left the courthouse, exhaling the weight of months of tension. Toby was facing assault charges. The agency was now Ivan's domain to run with loyal staff. Francesca had no claim on him or his assets. Her circle of conspirators was scattered. He'd systematically dismantled every angle of their betrayal, emerging the victor. Next, he'd shape his new life free from illusions. He texted Miss Harding, "Thank you. Let's finalize any leftover paperwork. I'm forging ahead." Then he paused, letting the midday sun warm him. A rare smile curved his lips. Victory was sweet. He half laughed at the memory of Toby once calling him naive. Who's naive now, Toby? With that final note, he walked toward his car, mind set on the next chapter, a new horizon with no traitors in sight. Chapter 4. Free at last, seeking a new life. The day after the divorce's finalization, Ivan rose early, standing by the living room window with a cup of black coffee. The house, once full of Francesca's decorative touches, now felt hollow. She'd moved out, taking her personal belongings. He intended to sell the property soon, too many memories. Miss Harding advised him about the real estate process, but that was minor detail. He had bigger plans, possibly relocating or revamping his life. He scanned his phone for updates. Toby's criminal assault case advanced with eyewitness testimonies from security guards. Francesca's social media accounts had gone quiet. Danielle apparently distanced herself from Francesca, though she turned a friendlier leaf toward Ivan. All these illusions, undone. He felt no pity. At the ad agency, staff greeted Ivan with subdued congratulations. They saw the ring removed from his finger. Some offered kind words. "We're sorry about the personal stress, but we stand with you." He nodded, grateful. He addressed them in a short meeting. "I appreciate your loyalty. Toby's gone, indicted for assault, so I'm now majority partner. Let's keep building better campaigns without drama. Thank you." The team applauded. It felt like a fresh chapter. Ivan turned to his new co-partners, Mason and Kim, who had each bought small equity shares from Toby's forced departure. They formed a tight leadership unit, implementing ethical guidelines. Freed from Toby's sabotage, the agency soared. A wave of relief rolled over Ivan every day he stepped into the office. Ivan wasted no time. He contacted a realtor to list the suburban home that once harbored Francesca's lies. The realtor recommended minor staging, but Ivan just wanted it gone. Within a month, a buyer emerged, a young couple starry-eyed about the cozy neighborhood. Ivan accepted an offer swiftly, not holding out for top dollar. Miss Harding confirmed the settlement recognized this sale as solely his profit, since Francesca relinquished claims. Another subtle victory. Standing in the empty living room on move-out day, Ivan ran his hand along the banister. He recalled the countless nights suspecting Francesca's betrayal, the heartbreak, the silent fury. He allowed himself a moment of reflection. I overcame it. I'm free. Then he locked the door, handing the key to the new owners. No final goodbyes. Late one night, Ivan received a cryptic email from an unknown address. Toby's not done. He's planning something big, even from behind bars. Watch your back. The signature read S, possibly one of Toby's old cronies. Ivan rolled his eyes. Toby might be vengeful, but with him in jail awaiting trial for assault, how big could he act? Miss Harding shrugged. He can't do much, but do keep an eye out. Rick offered to watch Toby's known associates. Better safe than sorry, thought Ivan. He refused to let fear overshadow his newly achieved peace, but he stayed alert. With Francesca and Toby out of his personal sphere, Ivan found an unexpected freedom to socialize genuinely. Kim introduced him to her cousin's social events. He met new people, no illusions, no old baggage. One Sunday, Kim's group invited him to a lakeside barbecue. He played cornhole, laughed with new acquaintances. For once, he realized how stifled he'd felt under Francesca's manipulative circle. The difference was liberating. During the barbecue, a friendly woman named Sarah struck up conversation. She was witty, asked about his ad background, no hidden motives. He enjoyed the casual flirtation, though he wasn't certain if he wanted anything serious yet. But it felt good to be recognized for who he was, not overshadowed by a cheating spouse. One evening, Danielle called Ivan, asking to meet at a neutral cafe. She arrived looking contrite, setting a small box on the table. "This is yours. I found it among Francesca's junk. She never returned it." Inside was a watch Ivan received from his late father. He'd assumed it was lost. He thanked her. Danielle sipped water, expression ashamed. "Francesca planned to pawn it or something if you fought the divorce. I realized how vile that was. I truly regret how I sided against you." Ivan studied her. She seemed sincere. "Apology accepted, Danielle. We all make mistakes. Let's move on." She sighed in relief, tears glimmering. Possibly she'd grown disillusioned with Francesca's cruelty. They parted amicably, no illusions of full friendship, but at least no hostility. Weeks passed, culminating in Toby's assault trial. Miss Harding informed Ivan that Toby was expected to plead guilty for a lesser charge, hoping for a reduced sentence. Indeed, Toby stood in court, with multiple witness statements damning him. He realized fighting was futile. He pleaded guilty to felony assault, facing potential 12 years. The judge set sentencing for next month. Toby glared at Ivan in the courtroom, but Ivan felt no pity the man tried to assault him with a crowbar. Miss Harding said Toby might serve only 12 months with good behavior. Ivan left the courthouse calm. Toby's fate was sealed. He'd undone himself through rage. Ivan would never have to see him again. That chapter was closed. Freed from the house, the toxic marriage, Toby's sabotage, Ivan considered relocating or maybe just buying a smaller condo downtown. The ad agency thrived, staff morale soared. He carried a sense of quiet pride, a man who overcame betrayal and refused to be a victim. Miss Harding teased him. "You're the poster child for not letting a cheating spouse walk all over you." He simply grinned. He also dated casually, meeting new folks through Kim's events. Nothing too serious yet, but at least it was his choice now, unburdened by illusions of loyalty from a woman who never deserved him. One final detail emerged. Miss Harding discovered that Francesca's name was still on a small auto loan they once shared. Francesca refused to sign it off. Miss Harding threatened legal action unless she complied. Eventually, Francesca relented, scrawling her name in a final humiliating act, removing herself from all financial ties to Ivan. She texted him a short farewell. "Wish we'd parted nicer. Good luck." He responded with a single word. "Goodbye." Thus, all joint property, all illusions ended. Ivan was truly free. The sense of final closure washed over him. One late evening, Ivan strolled the city's riverwalk alone, a gentle breeze brushing his hair. He reflected on the journey from the day he discovered Francesca's affair to Toby's downfall in the agency. He had systematically uncovered betrayals, outmaneuvered false allegations, forced Toby out, and ended a sham marriage on his own terms. Now the horizon stretched open, brimming with possibilities. He gazed at the reflections on the water, exhaling the last remnants of tension. He was unstoppable, unbroken. Tomorrow he'd finalize a condo purchase, step deeper into a new life. The betrayal once threatened to crush him. Instead, he'd used cunning, evidence, and unwavering resolve to destroy the conspirators. Some might call it ruthless, but he called it justice. He turned from the water, phone buzzing with a new text from an unknown woman he'd met at a brunch last week, a new connection. He smiled, a quiet affirmation of the future. No more illusions, no more weakness. The final chords of his old life faded into the night. Ivan walked on, ready for whatever next chapter awaited him in a city that once tried to bury him, but ended up kneeling to his unwavering resolve. Chapter 5. Leaving town, finding new purpose. Over a month had passed since Ivan's divorce from Francesca was finalized, and his ex-partner Toby was taken into custody, facing felony assault charges. In that short time, Ivan sold the house that had once been a battlefield of betrayal and illusions. Legally, he now stood unshackled. No spousal ties, no lingering property disputes, no illusions with old friends. He continued leading the ad agency Bridge and Holt, now free of Toby's sabotage. Morale soared, especially since staff recognized Ivan's fair but firm leadership. Still, deep inside, Ivan felt a restless urge to start afresh. The city reminded him of Francesca's face in every corner, Toby's specter in every bar or cafe they used to frequent. The triumph of his revenge had left him oddly hollow. He'd crushed them. But what next? One early morning, at his condo's modest balcony, he sipped black coffee, surveying the skyline. I've accomplished everything I wanted here, exposed the traitors, preserved my career. Yet an itch to find a new horizon gnawed at him. That day, he resolved to approach Miss Harding and an old friend in real estate about relocating. Perhaps another city, another state, somewhere he could build anew. By midday, he was calling Mason, his newly appointed co-partner at the agency. Mason, if I decide to step away in the next half year, can you handle day-to-day? I'd remain a majority shareholder, but move physically. Mason sounded surprised, but not alarmed. Of course. We'll keep it thriving. You deserve a break from all this drama. Ivan felt a wave of relief. Yes, I do. So began the initial steps of Ivan's next phase, leaving behind the city that had once tried to bury him. While preparing for a potential relocation, Ivan made a mental list of people he actually wanted to say goodbye to. That list was short. Danielle, Francesca's former best friend, had shifted alliances after discovering Francesca's manipulations. Danielle had even apologized to Ivan, returning his father's watch. He felt a smidge of respect for her about-face. One evening, he invited Danielle to a neutral coffee bar for a final chat. She arrived wearing a simple sweater and jeans, looking subdued. "So, you're really leaving?" she asked softly. Ivan nodded. "Yes, soon. This city has too many ghosts for me." Danielle exhaled. "Francesca's the biggest ghost, I guess." He gave a small shrug. "We parted ways. She tried to fake bruises, Toby's meltdown, you know it all. I just need a new environment." She stared into her coffee. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry I initially helped cover her affair. I truly believed her lies that you were ignoring her." Ivan nodded. "You apologized before. I appreciate you returning my watch. Water under the bridge. I do hope you avoid such toxic circles in the future." She managed a sad smile. "Yeah, me too." As he left, Danielle pressed a small envelope into his hand, saying it was a letter she'd found from Francesca's hidden stash, addressed to Ivan but never sent. He refused it politely. "I'm done reading her words, but thanks for the gesture." Danielle pocketed it again, whispering goodbye. With that, Ivan closed the door on one of the last direct links to Francesca's old circle. In the final days of Toby's criminal assault case, Miss Harding updated Ivan that Toby had pled guilty, hoping for a lenient sentence. The judge gave Toby a year behind bars plus mandatory anger management. The media gave it minimal coverage, overshadowed by bigger city scandals. Ivan felt mild satisfaction. Toby had threatened his life, so the punishment was deserved. "He tried to break you physically when the psychological games failed," Miss Harding noted. "Now he faces a year to stew on that." Ivan only responded, "He reaped what he sowed." He had zero sympathy left. He quietly closed the file on Toby in his mind. If Toby tried any further retribution from behind bars, Miss Harding and the authorities would handle it. With no immediate attachments left, Ivan indulged a whimsical desire he'd suppressed during marriage: buying a motorcycle. He chose a sleek black cruiser, ignoring Francesca's old condemnation that bikes were too dangerous. Now, danger or not, it was his choice. On a crisp Saturday, he picked up the bike from a local dealership. The salesperson, a middle-aged former biker, saw Ivan's stoic excitement. "First bike?" he asked. Ivan nodded. "Yes, first. I want to roam, possibly cross states." The salesman grinned. "Awesome. Good luck on your journey, brother." Returning to his condo, Ivan stared at the polished machine. This is a symbol, he mused, of leaving the past in the dust. He hopped on, took a short test ride around the block. The wind in his face, the engine's rumble, sparked an adrenaline surge. He realized he'd never felt so free, so unshackled. That night, he mapped a route that might lead him out of state for a fresh start. Interestingly, as word got out that Ivan was considering relocating, he received an approach from Northern Vista Marketing, a mid-sized firm in a mountain town called Pinewood Heights, a few hours north. They offered a directorial role with attractive equity if he moved. Intrigued by the mountainous region's scenic allure and a chance to rebuild in a calmer environment, Ivan scheduled a Zoom call with their CEO. During the call, the CEO, a woman named Louisa Moran, explained how Pinewood Heights was growing fast, needing top-tier ad minds. She admired Ivan's strong stance in the face of personal adversity. He gave her a polite, partial explanation about divorcing a treacherous spouse. She responded with understanding, praising his resilience. By call's end, she invited him to visit the town for a few days on their dime to see if it suited him. Ivan ended the call, excitement stirring. Could Pinewood Heights be my next chapter? He told Miss Harding about it. She encouraged him to keep all options open, but ensure no leftover legal ties forced him to remain local. Freed from everything, he realized he could go anywhere. Pinewood Heights beckoned like a new dawn. At Bridge and Holt staff meeting, Ivan announced he was stepping down from daily operations in 60 days. He'd remain a majority shareholder, but let Mason and Kim run the day-to-day. The staff reacted with mixed emotions. They loved Ivan, but they also wanted him to find happiness. He reassured them, "I'm not abandoning you. I'll oversee strategic decisions from afar. We'll keep in touch." Mason, newly minted as the managing director, gave Ivan a grateful handshake. "We owe you. Without your stance, Toby would have drowned us in scandal. Go build your new life. We'll make you proud." Kim nodded, tears glistening. Ivan felt a warm sense of closure. For years, he'd poured heart and soul into the agency, only for Toby to poison it. Now, it stood healthy under new leadership. He was proud and free to leave. On the day he cleared out his condo, finalizing the sale to new owners, Francesca unexpectedly appeared outside. She stood by her car, hair disheveled, wearing casual attire, a far cry from her once glamorous style. She's probably come to scrounge for an emotional parting. Ivan stepped out, locking the door for the final time. She approached warily. "So you're leaving? The condo's sold. We can't even meet again in this city, can we?" Her voice trembled. He pocketed his keys, face impassive. "Why meet? We have no reason to." She swallowed. "Ivan, I wanted to say I never meant for it to get so ugly. Toby told me you were ignoring me, that we deserved a fling. Then it escalated. I was foolish. Now Toby's in jail and you're leaving." He exhaled, forcing a calm tone. "What did you expect? You made your bed. The meltdown was your making." She nodded, tears brimming. "I guess so. I see no path forward for me here either. Maybe I'll move. Anyway, I'm sorry." Ivan offered no warmth. Apology accepted if it gives you closure, but it changes nothing. She bit her lip, then reached out as if to touch his arm, but he stepped back. "We're done," he repeated firmly. She turned, walking away. No meltdown this time, just quiet regret. He felt no satisfaction, only the sense that her illusions had truly collapsed. Serves her right. Early on a Sunday morning, with his sedan loaded and a trailer for his motorcycle, Ivan left the city limits. Miss Harding arranged the final details for the condo sale. The plan was to drive north, possibly stop at Pinewood Heights to evaluate the job offer. The highway stretched open, the sun cresting over the horizon. He felt an odd swirl of triumph and sorrow, but mostly relief. The city's skyline receded in the rearview mirror, taking Toby's betrayal, Francesca's facade, and the entire fiasco with it. He put on some rock music, letting the miles roll under his wheels. A half-day's drive lay ahead. Emotions swelled. He'd confronted the ultimate betrayal, orchestrated a fierce defense, and emerged unbroken. Now life beckoned with new possibilities. He whispered to himself, "I won this war. Time to find real peace." That evening, Ivan arrived at Pinewood Heights, a scenic mountain town ringed by pines and rolling hills. The vibe was calm, the air fresh with a faint tang of evergreen. The main street featured quaint shops, a local diner, a few bars, and an old-fashioned movie theater. As he parked near a modest inn, he breathed in the crisp air, tension slipping off his shoulders. No memories of Francesca or Toby haunted these streets. He checked into the Mountain Crest Inn, warmly greeted by the innkeeper. Then he wandered around, grabbing dinner at a local pub called the Woodshed. People there gave him friendly nods, some curiosity in their eyes. A quiet sense of community permeated the place. He realized how drastically different it was from the hustle and gossip of his old city. This might be exactly what I need. Later that night, sitting on the inn's small balcony under the starry sky, Ivan sipped a local craft beer. He felt alive, free from the weight of the past. With Toby indicted, Francesca out of his life, the agency stable behind him, he had no obligations except exploring new horizons. In the distance, the silhouette of pine-blanketed ridges glowed faintly under the moon. He allowed a rare, genuine smile. The city where he'd fought so fiercely was behind him, the betrayals vanquished. Here, among these quiet mountains, a second life might unfold, possibly with new alliances, new challenges, new revelations. He texted Miss Harding a quick, "Arrived safe, feels good here." Then he turned off his phone, letting the gentle hush cradle him. Tomorrow he'd see if Pinewood Heights was the stage for his next big adventure. Chapter 6. A Warm Welcome. A Hidden Caution. Early the next morning, Ivan dressed in a crisp button-down and jeans, casual but professional. He drove to the downtown building of Northern Vista Marketing, the firm that had courted him. The office sat on a corner lot with large windows facing the mountains. Inside, bright natural light spilled over an open-concept workspace. The vibe felt friendly, less cutthroat than the environment he'd come from. Louisa Moran, the CEO who first approached him, greeted Ivan in the lobby. She was in her 50s, with silvering hair and a neat chignon and a vibrant smile. "Ivan, so glad you made it. Let's show you around." She introduced him to department heads Freya in creative, Ruben in accounts, Bethany in digital strategy. The staff seemed enthusiastic, no forced politeness. Louisa led him to a glass-walled corner office currently vacant. "Picture yourself in here, leading strategic campaigns, championing new expansions for Pinewood Heights. We want fresh minds." Ivan gazed at the scenic view. Impressive. He found the notion appealing a smaller community, but potential for personal satisfaction. They discussed potential compensation, equity, relocation assistance. No sign of deceit or illusions. Refreshing, he thought. They agreed he'd do a week-long trial consulting role, see if the synergy felt right, then sign a permanent contract if all was well. Louisa gave him a hearty handshake. "We're eager. If you like us, we can formalize a big partnership." Ivan felt a spark of excitement. Yes, this might be it. During the next few days, Ivan settled into a routine. Breakfast at the inn, then heading to Northern Vista's office for consult sessions. Evenings, he'd explore Pinewood Heights, riding his motorcycle along winding mountain roads. Each turn brought fresh scenic wonder-clear streams, tall pines, a crisp sky free of city smog. The locals were friendly, greeting him with genuine warmth. He discovered a small artisanal bakery, an organic produce store, and an old-fashioned bookstore on Main Street. Everything felt personal and welcoming, a stark contrast to the gossipy, backstabbing environment he'd endured. One evening, the innkeeper, Marla, invited him to a small gathering in the lounge. He met other guests, hikers, retirees, traveling sales reps. They chatted about local happenings, the mild controversies about property developments. Ivan realized how unburdened he was from city intrigues. No Toby, no Francesca. A subtle sense of calm washed over him. He might truly belong here. Ivan recalled the woodshed, the pub he visited on arrival. One Friday night, feeling sociable, he returned there, finding a surprisingly lively crowd for a small town. Wooden beams, rustic decor, a mix of locals in flannels, a handful of traveling outdoorsy types. He found a seat at the bar, ordered a craft beer. The bartender, Gabe, recognized him. "Hey, new guy from the inn, right? Ivan, yeah?" He nodded. "That's me." Gabe grinned. "So how's Pinewood treating you?" They chatted easily. Another patron, Shane, a biker type in a leather vest, overheard and slid over. "You ride? Saw your bike out front," he said. Ivan admitted he did indeed. They struck up a conversation about scenic routes in the region. As the night wore on, Ivan realized he'd made more genuine connections in a single evening than in weeks back in the city. People asked about him, but not intrusively, and they offered tips on the best spots for fishing, hiking. He felt no guarded tension. It was new he wasn't scanning for betrayal. He left the woodshed that night with a warm sense of belonging, the crisp, star-filled sky overhead. One morning, the inn's receptionist handed Ivan a letter delivered with no return address. Inside was a short-typed note. "Toby might blame you for all his woes. He's got contacts outside. Be watchful. A concerned party." Ivan's gut twisted. Toby was locked up, presumably awaiting sentencing or partial jail time. Could he still manipulate henchmen from behind bars? Possibly. He texted Miss Harding a photo of the letter. She replied, "No direct threat. Keep an eye out. If Toby tries anything, we'll involve law enforcement." Rick, the private investigator, also told Ivan he was monitoring Toby's known associates. So far, no sign of an active plan. Still, a faint shadow of worry crept into Ivan's otherwise idyllic new routine. Would Toby remain an eternal nuisance? He resolved not to let Toby's ghost hamper his new life. If Toby tried something from jail, the law would handle it. Meanwhile, Ivan had a bright present to focus on. On the third day of commuting to Northern Vista Marketing, while grabbing lunch at a local diner, Ivan noticed a young woman busily serving tables. She was about 24 or 25, with a ponytail of auburn hair, wearing a plaid shirt under her apron. He overheard her name Hallie. She had an air of quiet determination. Ivan watched as Hallie deftly handled customers, some of whom were curt or demanding, yet she responded politely, though her eyes carried a hint of weariness. After he finished his burger, Hallie approached with the check. "Need anything else?" she asked, a bit terse. He shook his head. "No thanks. Great meal." She nodded, swiftly walking off. Something about her piqued Ivan's curiosity, a guarded aura reminiscent of how he felt after being betrayed. But he didn't press. He left a good tip. She seemed surprised, eyeing him with a flicker of gratitude. Then he was gone. Just a random brief encounter, he mused. Still, a flicker of interest stirred in him. After a productive week, Louisa Moran summoned Ivan to her glass-walled corner office. She closed the door, beaming. "Ivan, your trial consulting has been a hit. Our staff love your strategic insights. We want you permanently, offering the role of senior creative director plus a stake in the firm, 10% equity to start, possibly more if expansions thrive." She slid a contract across the desk. The compensation was generous, the environment stable. The idea of living among these mountains away from city drama felt enticing. "I'm flattered," Ivan said calmly. "I need to finalize a few personal matters, but I'm leaning yes." Louisa nodded, confident. "Take your time. We'd be thrilled to have you." Ivan left the office feeling a ripple of excitement. This is it, a fresh slate. The next day, he called Miss Harding and Mason from the old agency, telling them he planned to fully relocate. Mason congratulated him. Miss Harding teased him about being a country boy now. Ivan laughed. Despite Toby's or Francesca's shadows, he was forging ahead. A few days later, Shane the biker from the woodshed invited Ivan on a weekend group ride along the scenic ridge roads. Eager to connect with new folks, Ivan agreed. They gathered at dawn, about 8 bikers with varied backgrounds, a local mechanic, a florist, a retired schoolteacher, etc. The camaraderie was genuine. They welcomed city slicker Ivan, playfully teasing him but respecting his story. They cruised winding roads, the wind crisp pine scents filling the air. For Ivan, each turn felt like shedding the old baggage. They stopped at a panoramic overlook, where he joined them in snapping photos. Shane patted his back. "Glad you joined. We're a tight group. No nonsense." That last phrase resonated with Ivan. No nonsense was exactly what he wanted in life now. That evening, they ended at the woodshed for burgers. Hallie was there, serving. She spotted the group of bikers, offering them the usual polite service, though her eyes flicked with curiosity at Ivan. He caught her subtle glance, gave a mild smile in return. There was an unspoken spark, though neither made a move. One step at a time. The following afternoon, while Ivan strolled Main Street, he spotted Hallie exiting a rundown trailer park near the outskirts, carrying groceries. She tripped, groceries spilling. He rushed to help. She froze, seeing him. "You again," she muttered, embarrassed. He gently helped gather items, noticing the bleak surroundings. "Need a hand?" She hesitated, clearly prideful, then sighed. "Sure, thanks." He realized she lived in a battered trailer that looked near condemnation. Her face flushed. "I just can't afford better right now." He simply nodded, no pity in his eyes, just quiet respect. "Everyone goes through tough times. Let me at least help carry these to your door." She allowed it, leading him inside a cramped space with minimal furniture. He asked, "This your permanent place?" She shrugged. "As permanent as I can manage. I wait tables, no real family to help." A flicker of empathy touched Ivan's heart. He recognized that raw vulnerability he once felt after losing illusions. "Well, if you ever need a safer place, maybe there's a room at the inn or something. This park seems rough." She gave a wry half-smile. "I'm good, thanks." But her voice trembled slightly. He left, a swirl of concern in his chest. He recognized a wounded spirit, not unlike himself before. That same evening, as Ivan swung by the woodshed for a quick meal, chaos erupted. A drunken man cornered Hallie by the bar, yelling about money she owed him. Hallie looked terrified but stood firm, telling him to leave. The man grabbed her arm, curses flying. Patrons froze, uncertain. Ivan stepped up, heart pounding. "Let go," he said, voice cold. The drunk whirled. "Who the hell are you?" Ivan stared him down, unwavering. The drunk took a swing. Ivan deflected easily. He'd once trained some self-defense, then pinned the man's arm. Shane and other bikers rushed in, forcibly ejecting the drunk from the bar. Hallie stood trembling, tears in her eyes. Ivan gently asked, "You okay?" She nodded, wiping tears, voice shaky. "That was my ex, demanding I pay for some old bills he claimed. Thank you." He gave a short nod. "No problem. Next time we'll call the cops." She inhaled, whispering, "He's not worth it. I'll handle it." Ivan studied her resilient posture, seeing the cracks of fear behind it. Then the bar resumed normalcy. He recognized a parallel to his own struggles. They parted with a silent understanding. Late that night, Ivan rode his motorcycle back to the inn, the mountain air brisk. His mind replayed Hallie's frightened expression, her refusal to show weakness. He identified with that fierce independence. She's fighting her own betrayal by life, he mused, recalling how he overcame a toxic environment. He realized a growing sense of protectiveness, not romantic infatuation, at least not yet, but genuine concern. Overcoming Toby and Francesca had taught him empathy for people caught in dire straits. He too once felt cornered. Now he had resources, knowledge, and the willingness to help if she'd let him. Parking the bike, he gazed at the silent mountains looming under moonlight. In this new place, new relationships were forming. He saw the potential for deeper bonds, free from illusions. With a final breath, he entered the inn, resolved that if Hallie or anyone else needed help, he'd stand by them. The unstoppable man who overcame betrayal had enough strength to spare. Chapter 7. New Loyalties, New Battles. One sunny morning, after 2 weeks of successful consulting, Louisa Moran approached Ivan with a final contract. She'd arranged a formal meeting in the office's small conference room. Freya, creative lead, and Bethany, digital strategy, joined to express excitement about Ivan's leadership style. Louisa slid the contract forward. A senior creative director position with 15% equity and increase from 10% in recognition of his immediate impact. The salary and benefits matched or exceeded what he earned at Bridge and Holt. This was a direct path to a new career chapter. Ivan, scanning the terms, felt no hidden clauses, no illusions reminiscent of Toby or Francesca. He agreed, shaking Louisa's hand. "I'm in, wholeheartedly." Applause from the small group. Louisa said they'd handle announcements and help him settle with permanent housing. It was official. Ivan would stay in Pinewood Heights. He thanked them all, stepping out with a quiet grin. Another fresh milestone. Next step, Ivan needed a place beyond the inn. A local realtor, Marta, took him on tours of cabins and houses. He found a modest but charming two-bedroom cabin on the outskirts tucked among pines near a babbling creek. The wooden porch, stone fireplace, and open kitchen layout appealed to him. He imagined lighting that fireplace on chilly nights, hosting genuine friends, not traitors. Within a week, he placed an offer. The seller accepted quickly, impressed by Ivan's serious approach. Miss Harding, still assisting him from afar, glanced over the contract, gave the green light. By the month's end, the cabin was his. He parted from the inn with gratitude, tipping the innkeeper well for her hospitality. The cabin, once a dream, was now home, symbolizing a brand-new anchor in a brand-new life. Meanwhile, Hallie continued working at the woodshed, but also took a second job cleaning rental cabins to pay off lingering debts. She'd cross paths with Ivan occasionally. He'd see her hauling supplies in the early mornings or serving late dinners. Their interactions grew friendlier. She'd offer him an extra smile. He'd tip generously. But both maintained a certain boundary, not stepping into anything personal. One afternoon, she confessed she was applying for a local scholarship to get a culinary certificate. "I love cooking, but never had formal training," she muttered. Ivan encouraged her. "You've got the drive. If you need references, let me know." She gave a wry half-smile. "Would a big-shot ad guy help a broke waitress?" "Might raise eyebrows." He shrugged. "I don't care about eyebrows." She appreciated his sincerity, that flicker of trust in her eyes growing. One evening at the woodshed, Hallie's ex, the same drunk who harassed her, showed up again, reeking of alcohol, demanding, "My money." Hallie froze behind the bar, her co-workers looking uncertain. The ex tried vaulting over the counter, cursing about some car loan. This time, Ivan happened to be there with Shane and the biker crew. Shane jumped up, grabbing the man's arm. The ex swung wildly. A scuffle ensued, but the bikers quickly pinned him. Meanwhile, Ivan calmly called the local deputy. Hallie watched from behind the bar, trembling, tears threatening to spill. The cops arrived, cuffing the ex for disorderly conduct. As he was dragged out, he spat vile insults at Hallie, threatening to track her down. The deputy assured her they'd consider a protective order. She slumped onto a bar stool, face in her hands. Ivan came around, gently laid a hand on her shoulder. "It's over," he murmured. She nodded, breath hitching. Then quietly, she rose, continuing her shift with forced composure. Ivan admired her resilience but saw the torment in her eyes. At closing time, Hallie stood outside, arms folded, anxiously scanning the dark. Ivan approached. "How about I ride behind you in my truck or give you a lift home? That guy might lurk around." She hesitated, pride warring with fear. Finally, she sighed. "Okay, I'll accept the ride, just for safety." He drove her to the trailer park. On arrival, she cringed seeing the broken windows of her neighbors' units, the stench of stale garbage. "This place is no better than a dumpster," she muttered. Ivan paused, then softly offered, "If you ever want a safer room, I have a cabin with an extra bedroom. No strings attached. The town's not that big you can get to work easily." Hallie stared at him, a swirl of gratitude and skepticism. "Why are you so kind? We barely know each other." Ivan gave a small, genuine shrug. "I've been in a tough spot. Someone helped me once. I'm just paying it forward. Up to you." She swallowed, tears pricking. "I'll think about it." Then she hopped out. He waited until she entered her trailer safely, then drove off, heart heavy with concern for her situation. Ivan's daily life found a rhythm, working intensively at Northern Vista, shaping marketing strategies for local businesses and tourism initiatives. After hours, he'd ride his motorcycle or do runs through forest trails. He cherished the cabin's tranquility unpacking, decorating with understated furniture, finding peace in the crackle of the fireplace. No drama, no illusions. He made more local friends, Reuben from accounts, who introduced him to family dinners, Freya, who sometimes teased him about reorganizing the creative team. The environment was warm, supportive. Each day reaffirmed that leaving the city had been the best decision. He still kept an eye on Toby's legal outcomes, but Toby's final sentencing locked him away for a year, maybe less with good behavior. Francesca presumably drifting in her own mess. He rarely thought of them now. They belonged to a closed chapter. One rainy evening, Hallie unexpectedly knocked on Ivan's cabin door, drenched, carrying a small duffel bag. She looked frightened, biting her lip. I can't stay in that trailer anymore. Some guys pounded on the door, might be my ex's buddies. I left. If your offer stands... Her voice trembled. Ivan ushered her in, handing her a towel. It does. No strings, as promised. She stood in his living room, noticing the simple yet cozy decor. I'll pay rent once I can, she mumbled, half embarrassed. He waved it off. We can figure that out later. Your safety first. She exhaled, tears forming. Thank you. He showed her the spare bedroom, set out fresh sheets. She gazed around, eyes shining with relief. She apologized for imposing. Ivan gently said, Not an imposition. I told you. People helped me in my darkest time. Let me do the same for you. She nodded, a silent wave of gratitude crossing her face. The hush of the pine forest outside seemed to echo the new bond forming inside the cabin. Initially, living with Hallie felt awkward. She was cautious, cleaning up obsessively, refusing to let him cover groceries without chipping in. She insisted on cooking dinner sometimes, skillfully creating hearty stews from simple ingredients. Ivan complimented her, half-joking. You're a better cook than many fancy restaurants. She blushed. I learned from random YouTube videos, nothing special, but she was genuinely talented. They navigated boundaries, separate rooms, no prying into each other's phone or personal time, yet they often found themselves chatting after dinner, sharing comedic anecdotes from work. Ivan never pressed about her ex or her past, letting her volunteer tidbits at her own pace. The synergy was peaceful, a stark contrast to the combative environment he once endured with Francesca. One late night, as they sat by the fireplace, she quietly admitted, I never had a stable home. Drifting in foster care, hooking up with that jerk ex, it's always been survival. Ivan placed an understanding hand on her shoulder. I get it. Betrayal can come in many forms. You're safe here. The words, you're safe here, resonated deeply. She wiped a tear, whispering, Thank you, forging an unspoken trust. As Hallie and Ivan cohabited, rumors surfaced in Pinewood Heights. The ad guy has a pretty young housemate. Some insinuated an affair or a questionable relationship. Hallie grew anxious, not wanting new drama, but Ivan shrugged it off. Let them gossip. I know the truth, and I won't let rumors dictate our actions. At the woodshed, a few bar regulars teased Hallie. Living with that city fella, huh? She'd retort that she was just renting a room. Most accepted it, trusting her earnestness. A small subset might whisper behind her back, but she no longer let it rattle her. She was safe, building a path forward. Meanwhile, Ivan faced minimal blowback. People in the ad firm saw no conflict. Some teased him good-naturedly. You a guardian angel or something? He'd smirk. Just helping a friend in need. No big story. Within a month, Hallie and Ivan established a comfortable routine like a quiet household. Each day, she'd head to her tavern job or do side cleaning gigs. He'd immerse himself in marketing campaigns, returning by evening. They'd share dinner, watch TV, occasionally engage in deeper conversations. A gentle bond blossomed, not overtly romantic yet, but threaded with mutual respect and solace. One evening, after a simple pasta meal, they lingered in the living room. She strummed an old guitar she found in a thrift store, humming a tune. Ivan listened, closing his eyes, letting the warmth of the fireplace soothe him. He realized he rarely felt so at peace, so unburdened. The ghost of Francesca's betrayal no longer haunted him. Toby's sabotage was miles away. He'd found a new life in Pinewood Heights, forging new alliances and protecting someone who needed it. He glanced at Hallie, who offered a shy smile. The hush told him something bigger was forming a sense of belonging. If his old city life was war, this new life was a haven. He was unstoppable still, but now with a softer heart for those who faced their own storms. He whispered, "Thank you for the music," and she murmured, "Thank you for the shelter." The moment felt like an unspoken vow of acceptance. Chapter 8. Into the Light of a Future. As weeks turned into a couple of months, Hallie grew more comfortable living in Ivan's cabin. She saved money, partially thanks to not paying a high rent, though she insisted on contributing for groceries and utilities. She developed an ambition to attend a culinary certificate program in a neighboring city. One evening she showed Ivan the brochure. "It's 6 months part-time. I can still work nights at the woodshed. Then maybe I can open a small cafe or expand the bar's menu properly." Ivan beamed with genuine admiration. "That's brilliant. You have real talent in cooking like the stews you whip up. If finances are an issue, I can front you a short-term loan." She tensed, not wanting charity. "I'd pay you back," she stated firmly. He nodded. "No rush, I trust you." That trust soared, forging a deeper bond. She exhaled, eyes shining. "Thanks. It means a lot." Meanwhile, Northern Vista marketing soared under Ivan's leadership. He introduced streamlined creative processes, modern digital strategies, forging partnerships with local tourism boards. Louisa was ecstatic. She hosted an agency-wide gathering at a local lodge, praising Ivan's rapid impact. In a short speech, Ivan credited the staff for embracing new ideas. They toasted with local craft ciders. The vibe was supportive, no hidden agendas like Toby's old circle. He felt re-energized professionally, seeing a bright path. Build Northern Vista into a regional powerhouse. Keep forging genuine relationships. Zero illusions. Staff asked about his personal journey. He offered a polite summary. "I left a toxic environment. Found a peaceful life here. Never regretting it." They nodded, respecting his boundaries. Freed from the ghost of Toby or Francesca, Yvonne found professional success aligned with personal tranquility. One late-night shift, Hallie arrived home trembling. She explained a group of rowdy outsiders had barged into the woodshed, mocking her. The bar manager kicked them out, but their hostility rattled her. Ivan suspected it might be friends of her ex or random troublemakers. She expressed fear they could follow her. He suggested she text him whenever she left work. "I'll pick you up if it's late." She resisted at first, but eventually accepted, realizing she felt safer with him. So began a routine. Around midnight, she'd message him, and if shady characters lurked, he'd drive over. This protective dynamic deepened their connection. She found herself confiding in him more about her rough upbringing, how she never knew stable love. He listened quietly, acknowledging how betrayal had shaped his own life. They found common ground in scars. Out of nowhere, Nicholas, from Ivan's old city circle, tried calling. Ivan recognized the name and almost declined, but curiosity won out. Nicholas's voice, anxious, said, "Ivan, I want you to know Toby might get out earlier on parole if he manipulates the system. He's hinted about seeking you out for payback." Ivan stifled a sigh. "He's behind bars. Let the law handle it." Nicholas muttered, "Just watch yourself. Toby's not known for logic. He might pay someone to track you. Also, Francesca's rumored to be drifting. Might do something desperate." Ivan, unruffled, thanked Nicholas for the tip, then ended the call. He informed Miss Harding, who recommended a quiet heads-up to local authorities. She also reminded him that Toby's parole was no guaranteed success, but better safe than sorry. Ivan half laughed at Toby's persistent vendetta. He'd come so far from that nonsense. If Toby tried anything in Pinewood Heights, the tight-knit community wouldn't tolerate it. As Hallie and Ivan's day-to-day closeness intensified, subtle affectionate gestures emerged. He praised her cooking. She teased him about his occasional city habits, like wanting the perfect cappuccino. They often ended up laughing on the couch, discussing random topics. The hush between them felt loaded with unspoken warmth. One evening, after a quiet dinner, Hallie mustered courage. "Ivan, You've given me so much stability. I am not sure how to repay you. He shrugged gently. You owe me nothing. I want you to succeed. That's enough. A soft hush fell. She inched closer, eyes flicking from his lips to his eyes. He felt his pulse spike, recalling the pain of the last time he let someone in. But Hallie was different. She had no hidden agenda. They shared a tentative kiss, warm and slow. She pulled back, breath unsteady. I'm sorry if that's out of line. He shook his head, heart thumping. It's not. Just take it slow. We both carry scars. She nodded, tears of relief. The bond they formed was built on honesty and mutual healing, not illusions or forced dependence. One night, as Hallie closed the woodshed, her ex reappeared, more subdued, but still pushing. He cornered her outside, claiming he needed one more chat. She was about to snap a retort when Ivan arrived, picking her up as usual. The ex glared but didn't attempt violence. Instead, he spat, "You think you can hide behind him? You owe me money." Hallie insisted she owed nothing, that he was twisting old claims. The ex seethed, threatening to drag you to small claims court. Ivan stood calmly, back straight. Go ahead. She'll have a real lawyer. You'll lose. The ex cursed under his breath, finally slinking off. Hallie exhaled shakily. Ivan gently guided her to the passenger seat, driving away in silence. She whispered, "He never stops." Ivan patted her hand. "He'll burn out eventually, or we'll ensure legal means. You're not alone." She nodded, leaning her head against the window, tears silently falling. He was her shield, but also something more. Their kiss wasn't a random slip. Over weeks, Ivan and Hallie evolved into a genuine couple, albeit cautious. They still maintained boundaries, no immediate physical rush, but the emotional closeness was undeniable. She finished her shift earlier some nights to share dinner at the cabin. They'd watch old movies, wrapped in a shared blanket. At times, Hallie confessed she feared losing him if her ex or random drama got too intense. Ivan assured her, "I've faced bigger betrayals. I stand by those who deserve trust." This synergy nurtured Hallie's confidence further. She applied to that culinary certificate program and got accepted. Overjoyed, she danced around the cabin, hugging Ivan. He laughed, proud of her. They had formed a real bond, unsullied by illusions. A rumor trickled from Miss Harding that Toby tried appealing again for early release, citing new evidence that his assault was provoked by Ivan. The court quickly dismissed it, referencing the parking lot camera footage that showed Toby lunging with a crowbar. Toby remained locked up, his gambit failing. Miss Harding told Ivan, "He's thrashing around, desperate, nothing to worry about." Ivan considered it a final whimper from a defeated foe. Good riddance. Toby's meltdown underscored how betrayal leads nowhere except ruin. Ivan was done entertaining any fear. The local Pinewood Heights authorities also noted Toby's attempts, ensuring if he ever left jail early, they'd alert Ivan. He felt secure enough with a supportive community around him. One chilly evening, a power outage struck the cabin. Ivan lit the fireplace, candles flickering across the cozy living room. Hallie sat with him by the hearth, sipping tea. In the soft glow, he finally opened up about Francesca's betrayal, Toby's complicity, and how he systematically destroyed them in court. Hallie listened intently, eyes wide. He spoke of the heartbreak, the rage, the false bruises Francesca concocted, the assault Toby attempted with a crowbar, the nights he felt hollow even after winning. Hallie placed a gentle hand on his arm, tears shining. "No wonder you understand betrayal so deeply. You overcame so much." He nodded, exhaling. "Yes, I survived by being ruthless. But I realized after that war that I still needed real connection. And I found it here." Her cheeks flushed. "I'm glad you did. I want to be that connection." He leaned in, pressing his forehead to hers. "You already are." The hush of the candlelit night sealed their mutual vulnerability. Weeks later, after finalizing all relocation details, Ivan felt wholly integrated into Pinewood Heights. He was a recognized figure at Northern Vista, forging a new creative culture. Hallie thrived in her culinary program, excited about opening new doors. Their relationship blossomed with sincerity, no illusions, no hidden texts, no facade. They overcame menaces from her ex, wariness from local gossips, and Toby's distant threats. One late afternoon, returning from the grocery store, they arrived at the cabin, the sun setting behind the pine ridge. Hallie took Ivan's hand as they walked up the porch steps. She asked quietly, "You regret anything? The old city life? Your ex?" He shook his head, a soft smile. "Regret? No. They taught me never to be naive. But now I have something real. I'd do it all again if it led me here." She beamed, leaning in for a tender kiss. The front door closed behind them, the cabin filling with the soft glow of lamplight, echoing the warmth of their bond. The final vestiges of Francesca's betrayal, Toby's sabotage, and city drama faded, replaced by the calm hush of the pines. Ivan had found not only revenge but redemption, a new life shaped by honesty, loyalty, and the promise of building a future with someone who truly deserved his trust. Chapter 9. New Horizons, Lingering Shadows. A full year had passed since Ivan arrived in Pinewood Heights, leaving behind the chaos of his old city life. In that time, he'd cemented his role as senior creative director at Northern Vista Marketing, forging a respected reputation across the region. The once new colleagues had become trusted teammates: Freya, Ruben, Bethany, each integral to the agency's dynamic. Louisa Moran, the CEO, praised Ivan's ability to merge city-level marketing expertise with the town's folksy authenticity. On the personal front, Ivan's cabin felt more like a home every day, especially since Hallie had been living there for months now. Their relationship, quietly evolving from housemates to lovers, was stable and genuine, free of the illusions or hidden agendas that once plagued Ivan's past. Hallie advanced in her culinary certificate program, balancing it with her tavern shifts and some new side gigs in local catering. She seemed happier, more at peace, though traces of her past struggles still showed in occasional nightmares about her abusive ex. One warm spring evening, Ivan sat on the porch, sipping iced tea. Hallie joined him after finishing a baking experiment, some sweet cinnamon pastries. She offered him a sample, and he bit into the warm pastry, eyes lighting up. "Damn," he said, half laughing. "You could run circles around many professional chefs." She blushed. "It's basic, but thanks." His proud smile told her he wasn't just flattering. They had built a quiet, supportive life, a far cry from Ivan's old world of betrayal. The next morning, Hallie buzzed with excitement. She'd gotten word that her final practical exam in the culinary program was top-scored, the best in her class. The instructors recommended her for an advanced apprenticeship at a nearby upscale lodge. Over dinner, she announced it to Ivan, eyes brimming with joyful tears. "They said I can refine my cooking technique and maybe even become a sous chef at that lodge's fine dining restaurant." Ivan hugged her. "That's incredible. You deserve it." She beamed. "I never thought I'd get this far, especially after my ex drained my confidence." Ivan assured her she had the talent and grit. They clinked glasses, his a glass of wine, hers a fruit punch, in a small celebratory toast. Hallie teased, "I guess living with a marketing whiz rubbed off your positivity is infectious." He snorted softly, smiling. "We're both rebuilding from bruised pasts." That night they cuddled by the fireplace. Hallie quietly confided a new fear. "My ex might show up again, sabotage my new opportunity. He's threatened me before." Yvonne pressed a kiss to her forehead. "He tries that. He'll face me and the law. You're not alone now." Her eyes glistened, nodding with relieved gratitude. 2 weeks later, Miss Harding called Ivan with unsettling news. Toby was up for parole earlier than expected. He's scheduled a hearing in a few weeks. If granted, he could be out soon. Ivan's chest tightened. He'd buried Toby in the city fiasco. Now, Toby might surface again. Miss Harding said Toby had no legal recourse left to challenge Ivan's divorce or settlement, but Toby's personal vendetta might linger. Ivan calmly stated, "If Toby tries anything in Pinewood Heights, I'll handle it. He's powerless legally." She agreed, but advised him to alert local law enforcement if Toby showed up. Ivan told Hallie about Toby's possible release, explaining Toby's role in the old fiasco. She listened, horror creeping in at how Toby had actually attempted to assault Ivan with a crowbar. "He's a psycho," she said, voice trembling. Ivan gently took her hand. "He's cunning, but not unstoppable. We'll be vigilant. She nodded. He resolved not to let Toby overshadow their new life, though a seed of caution rooted in his mind. Toby's hatred ran deep. While Hallie's ex had seemingly vanished for a time, the woodshed still attracted the occasional rowdy traveler. One night, Hallie texted Ivan near closing time. "Some out-of-towners harassing me, making me uneasy. Could you pick me up?" Ivan hopped on his motorcycle and roared down the main road to the tavern. Inside, he found two surly men pestering Hallie for private after-hours drinks. The manager tried to intervene, but the men grew belligerent. Ivan stepped forward, calm but firm, telling them to back off. One sneered, "Or what, hotshot?" Before a brawl could ignite, a couple of local bikers recognized Ivan and backed him up. The men sized up the situation, realized they were outnumbered, and slunk away. Hallie exhaled, relieved. She gave Ivan a quick side hug in gratitude, ignoring any prying eyes. This mutual protector role had become a pattern, and Hallie found comfort in Ivan's unwavering presence. As they left, Hallie admitted she was shaken. "These creeps keep testing me. Without you or the bikers, I'd be cornered." Ivan gently assured, "You can always call. I've got your back." She nodded, leaning against him on the bike ride home, arms around his waist, a silent testament to trust. A day later, Miss Harding relayed that an anonymous tip suggested Toby might have an accomplice outside a guy named Ricky who disliked Ivan for personal reasons, possibly an ex-employee from the old city agency who blamed Ivan for Toby's downfall. Miss Harding recommended caution, though no direct evidence indicated they'd come north. Ivan told the local Pinewood Heights sheriff, Deputy Delgado, about the rumor. Delgado listened carefully, promising patrols near Ivan's cabin if needed. Ivan shared the update with Hallie. She went pale. "Are we never going to escape these shadows from your old city?" Ivan embraced her gently. "We will. People like Toby can't stand that I moved on, but we're strong here, with supportive folks, from the bikers to the locals. Toby's minions can't intimidate us." She inhaled, nodding. They decided to remain vigilant yet continue living their routine. Despite the tension, Hallie progressed in her new apprenticeship at the upscale lodge's kitchen. She soared under the head chef's mentorship, perfecting sauces, plating techniques. The lodge patrons raved about their new culinary rising star. She beamed each time she came home, regaling Ivan with stories of elaborate dishes and encouraging feedback from diners. One weekend, the lodge hosted a special chef's tasting event. The head chef let Hallie design a signature dish. She nervously concocted a seared trout with her own herb blend, plating it with delicate root vegetables. The critics present praised it. Hallie nearly cried with joy. She told Ivan that evening, "It's all happening so fast. Just a year ago, I was stuck in that trailer with no prospects." He kissed her gently, smiling. "You earned every success. I'm just proud to see it unfold." She nestled against him, tears of gratitude shining. Then came the bombshell. Miss Harding called. Toby's parole board shockingly approved early release. He'd be out within a month. Official reason: overcrowding and good behavior. Miss Harding raged at the system, but nothing more could be done. Toby was soon to walk free, presumably still bitter. She warned Ivan to keep security tight. If Toby came near, they'd get a restraining order in Pinewood Heights. Ivan felt a flare of anger at the injustice. Toby's good behavior was surely an act, but the law had spoken. He decided to keep an eye out. The local sheriff, Delgado, assured him of watchful patrols. Ivan also told Hallie, who shivered with anxiety, though he reminded her Toby's vendetta was personally aimed at him, not her. "Though I worry Toby might not care if you're in the crossfire." She nodded fearfully, resolved to stand firm. Ivan ramped up precautions. He installed additional cameras around the cabin, motion sensor lights, and a coded lock on the front door. He also quietly informed the bikers about Toby's release, so they'd be alert for any strangers snooping around. Shane gripped his shoulder. "We've got your back, man." Hallie, uneasy but determined, practiced calm self-defense moves Ivan showed her just in case. Miss Harding reminded Ivan that Toby had no legal angle to attack him, but Toby might try intimidation or property damage. Ivan felt a grim readiness. He'd triumphed once. He'd do it again. He was no naive dreamer. He was the unstoppable man who crushed traitors. If Toby dared appear, Ivan would finish what was started. As if to reclaim a sense of normalcy, Hallie and Ivan indulged in an official date night at a cozy wine bistro near the lodge. They dressed a bit nicer, she in a modest blue dress, he in a button-down and slacks. The staff recognized Hallie from the culinary scene, offering a celebratory dessert. Candles flickered on the table as they dined, holding hands, exchanging smiles. Eventually, Hallie leaned forward, voice trembling with emotion. "Ivan, I never imagined trusting a man again after all the betrayals in my life. But you saved me from that trailer, that ex, my own doubts." Ivan's chest tightened. "I know betrayal intimately. We both overcame it. I value honesty above all now." They shared a slow, tender kiss, unafraid of the stares from other patrons. The moment felt like a milestone. They were no longer just housemates or mutual saviors, but a real couple forging a future. That night, riding back to the cabin on his motorcycle, Hallie hugging him tight, Ivan felt the crisp mountain air swirl around them. The moonlit pines whispered of serenity. Yet in the back of his mind lingered the knowledge. Toby would soon be free. Would Toby risk coming here, stirring trouble in Ivan's new home? He refused to let dread overshadow his happiness. The day Toby stepped foot near them, if ever, he'd find a man who wouldn't back down. Hallie dozed off soon after they arrived home, content in his arms. Ivan stayed awake a bit longer, staring at the dying embers in the fireplace. He had everything to lose now, his new life, Hallie's bright future. He wouldn't let Toby snatch that away. With a final resolute breath, he drifted to sleep, arms wrapped around the woman he cherished. Chapter 10. Threats emerge. Allies unite. 2 weeks after Toby's official parole date, there was no sign of him, no threats, no messages. Ivan cautiously hoped Toby might have moved on or chosen to lie low. Then, one evening, Rick Palmer, the old private investigator from the city, phoned Ivan with a tip. Toby was spotted boarding a bus heading north, possibly Pinewood Heights. Rick overheard rumors Toby wanted to settle scores with Ivan. Ivan's stomach dropped. So Toby planned to come here after all. He alerted Miss Harding and Sheriff Delgado. Delgado arranged extra patrol near the cabin, suggesting Ivan keep his phone ready. The sheriff also briefed local businesses, so Toby couldn't easily lurk undetected. Hallie grew anxious but tried to remain calm. "We have a supportive community," she said, voice quavering. "He can't just waltz in." Ivan nodded. "He might attempt stealth, but we're prepared." Meanwhile, Hallie excelled in her lodge apprenticeship. The head chef, Carlson, praised her innovations, letting her run certain weekend dinner specials. She beamed with pride, joking with Ivan that she might become an executive chef someday. He proudly told her that Northern Vista could even help brand her restaurant concept if she launched one. One night at the lodge's restaurant, as Hallie supervised plating, she spotted a figure at the bar area that made her freeze. A man in a hooded sweatshirt, face partially obscured. He turned slightly, revealing Toby's distinct profile. He'd come to observe her, possibly scoping out the lodge. Fear coiled in her stomach. She ducked into the kitchen, texting Ivan, "Toby's here at the lodge bar. I'm freaking out." Ivan, working late at Northern Vista's office, immediately grabbed his keys, calling Sheriff Delgado. Delgado said he'd dispatch a squad car to the lodge. Meanwhile, Ivan sped over, adrenaline pounding. Toby going after Hallie was a direct provocation. By the time Ivan arrived, Toby had vanished from the bar, slipping out a side exit. Hallie, shaken, recounted how she glimpsed him. Then he vanished when she texted Ivan. The staff confirmed a suspicious man left moments earlier. The deputy arrived, taking Hallie's statement. They searched the lodge grounds but found no trace. Toby was cunning enough to slip away. Ivan gently guided Hallie to a quieter corner, her hands trembling. "He might be testing us," Ivan said softly. "He wants to rattle you or me, see if we'll panic." She nodded, tears glinting. "I hate feeling powerless." He held her close. "We're not powerless. We'll keep watch. And if Toby tries anything overt, the law's on our side." Despite his calm words, inside he felt a potent fury that Toby dared approach Hallie's workplace. Toby was playing with fire. Days passed with sporadic sightings. A hooded figure matching Toby's description lurking near local grocery stores. a stolen car reported in a neighboring county. The rumors fueled tension. The sheriff's department stepped up patrols, but Toby seemed elusive, possibly hiding in motels or abandoned cabins. Miss Harding urged Ivan to remain vigilant, keep collecting any evidence of Toby's harassment. One morning, Ivan found a crudely scrawled note taped to his cabin door. "You stole everything from me. I'll make you pay. T." He photographed it, handed it to the sheriff. Hallie paled upon seeing it. "He's unhinged." Ivan crushed the note in his fist, eyes cold. "If he steps near this property again, he'll regret it." Realizing Toby might strike unpredictably, Ivan confided in Shane and the biker crew. They promised to keep an eye out for suspicious strangers near the woodshed or around town. Shane smirked. "We don't take kindly to creeps menacing our own. Let him try." The solidarity comforted Ivan. He also equipped Hallie with pepper spray, ensuring she had it on her at all times. She accepted it with a shaky grin. "I hope I never use it, but thanks." Despite the looming threat, life continued. Hallie refused to skip her lodge shifts. Ivan praised her courage. "We can't let Toby sabotage our normalcy." They agreed to remain cautious but unstoppable in their daily pursuits. Late one night, Ivan's phone buzzed with an unknown number. He answered warily. Toby's voice rasped. "Hello, old friend. Enjoying your mountain hideaway? I found it quite scenic." Ivan's pulse hammered. "What do you want?" Toby gave a mirthless chuckle. "What's owed to me? Restitution for humiliating me, stealing the agency, turning everyone against me. Maybe a chunk of your new fancy salary. Or I can stir chaos, break your precious illusions." Ivan's jaw clenched. "You got yourself jailed, don't blame me." Toby sneered. "Oh, I blame you. Now you cower behind local cops, that waitress girlfriend. She's next on my list if you don't comply." Ivan's rage flared, but he remained icily calm. "Threaten Hallie again, you'll find out I'm not cowering. I'll bury you deeper than any cell." Toby hissed a laugh. "We'll see who ends up buried." Then the line went dead. Ivan took a shaky breath. Toby was explicitly threatening Hallie. Enough was enough. He immediately alerted Sheriff Delgado, providing the call details. Delgado filed an official harassment complaint, urging them to consider a restraining order. Miss Harding stated they'd expedite it. The war Toby started in the city was flaring again, but Ivan refused to be the victim. Word spread quickly among Ivan's circle bikers, co-workers, even local tavern regulars that Toby was a dangerous ex-partner out for vengeance. People rallied around Ivan and Hallie. Some bar patrons offered to walk Hallie to her car after shifts. The lodge's chef, Carlson, arranged for a security camera outside the kitchen entrance for Hallie's peace of mind. Shane's biker crew did unspoken watch patrols around Pinewood Heights, scanning for Toby's car or a hooded figure. Ivan was moved by the outpouring of support. This sense of community contrasted sharply with the city where Toby and Francesca's friends had ganged up on him. Here, folks believed in justice and solidarity. Hallie teared up at the kindness. "I never had so many people have my back." Ivan held her, murmuring that Pinewood Heights was their real family now. One chilly dusk, Hallie wrapped her shift at the woodshed. Ivan arrived in his truck to pick her up. She got in, weary from a busy night. As they headed out of the parking lot, headlights blazed behind them, a car speeding aggressively. The car swerved, tried to ram them from behind. Hallie gasped, gripping the seat. Ivan floored the gas, adrenaline spiking. The pursuing vehicle roared, attempting to sideswipe them. Ivan recognized the driver's silhouette. Toby. He's gone full psycho. On an empty stretch of road leading out of town, Toby maneuvered to push them off the asphalt. Ivan, teeth clenched, used defensive driving, swerving away. Hallie dialed 911, breath shaky. The operator assured them a deputy was en route. Toby's car nearly bumped them again, causing the truck to fishtail. But Ivan, skilled at controlling a skid, regained traction. Suddenly, Toby veered off, tires screeching, disappearing down a side street. Maybe he saw distant police lights. Sheriff Delgado arrived moments later, lights flashing. Ivan relayed the incident. Delgado cursed. "We'll track him. This is attempted vehicular assault." They found no sign of Toby that night, but the official record was made. Hallie trembled, tears in her eyes. Furious, Toby had come so close to harming them physically again. Ivan held her tightly, fury burning in his gut. This ends soon. Realizing Toby wouldn't rest, Ivan and Miss Harding devised a plan with Sheriff Delgado, lure Toby into a monitored confrontation. Toby wanted money or revenge. Ivan would text Toby, feigning capitulation that Ivan might pay him off to leave them alone. The sheriff would be ready to intervene the moment Toby threatened extortion or tried violence. Miss Harding warned, "It's risky. Toby's volatile." Ivan's jaw set. "He cornered Hallie, tried to ram us. I'm done letting him terrorize us. Let's do it." Hallie, anxious but supportive, asked how she could help. Ivan insisted she stay out of direct risk. "I'll meet Toby alone in a public place with plainclothes deputies nearby." Hallie nodded, tears brimming. "Please be careful." He squeezed her hand. "I've survived worse betrayals. Toby's day of reckoning is here." Ivan typed a text to Toby. "All right, let's talk. I'll pay you to vanish. Let's meet at the old lumber yard outside town tomorrow 7 p.m. Come alone." Toby's immediate reply, "Wise. Don't bring your cops or your precious girlfriend suffers." Ivan's blood boiled reading that. Miss Harding reassured him the deputies would remain hidden, waiting for Toby to incriminate himself. That night, Ivan and Hallie sat by the fireplace, tension thick. She wrapped her arms around him, voice trembling. "I trust you, but I'm terrified." He pressed a reassuring kiss to her temple. "Tomorrow, Toby meets his final downfall. I promise. Then we'll be free for good." She nodded, holding on tight. Outside, wind rustled through the pines, a foreboding hush. The stage was set for the final clash between Ivan and Toby, a confrontation that would decide if Ivan's new life remained untainted. Chapter 11. The Final Confrontation. The next afternoon, Sheriff Delgado and a small team of deputies staked out the old lumber yard on the outskirts of Pinewood Heights. The abandoned lot featured half-collapsed sheds, stacks of weathered logs. Delgado positioned 2 unmarked squad cars behind a ridge, armed with dash cams and body cams. Miss Harding also observed from a discreet vantage, ensuring legal coverage. Ivan arrived alone at 6:50 p.m. driving his truck. He parked near a clearing, scanning the area. The plan was simple. Toby would approach, demand hush money or threaten violence, and the hidden deputies would catch him in the act. "Miss." Harding insisted on capturing Toby's words to ensure solid criminal charges. Ivan texted Toby, "I'm here." Toby replied, "On my way. No tricks." The minutes crawled by, tension coiling in Ivan's chest. He recalled Toby's old smirk, the crowbar attack, the reckless car chase. Now Toby was about to face an inescapable downfall. At 7:05 p.m., an older sedan rumbled in from the dirt road. Toby stepped out, wearing a black hoodie, face gaunt with rage. The man had aged, prison leaving lines of bitterness on his features. He scanned the area, saw only Ivan's truck, and approached, hand hidden in his hoodie pocket, possibly a weapon. Ivan stood, arms crossed, projecting calm dominance. Toby spat, "Finally, you see reason. That a bag of cash in your truck?" Ivan shrugged. "We'll talk. Let's settle this so you leave me alone." Toby sneered, stepping closer. "You cost me everything. The agency was half mine, yet you conspired to boot me out, got me locked up. Now I can't get a decent job." Ivan quietly retorted, "You assaulted me with a crowbar, that was your choice." Toby's eyes blazed. "Your existence forced me. Now pay up or I make you suffer. Maybe I'll visit that waitress you're banging." A flicker of fury crossed Ivan's face, but he forced a controlled response. "We both know you want money. Let's talk specifics." Toby hissed, 50 grand or I torch your precious cabin. Then I pay Hallie a visit." That direct threat was all the sheriff needed. Ivan nodded discreetly to the hidden vantage, hoping the audio was captured. Toby ranted on, "I want it in cash. You have 24 hours to produce it, or my associates might just handle your girlfriend. Understood?" Suddenly, the quiet night shattered with flashing lights. 2 unmarked cars roared forward, deputies emerging. Toby startled, cursing, "A setup, you bastard!" He spun, hand darting inside his hoodie, possibly for a weapon. The deputies shouted, "Hands up! Don't move!" Toby froze, glancing frantically for an escape. With guns drawn, the deputies advanced. Toby tried stepping back, but one deputy lunged, tackling him to the ground. He struggled, screaming vile curses at Ivan. One deputy grabbed Toby's wrist. Indeed, a small handgun was tucked in his hoodie, another felony on top of the extortion attempt. Ivan watched calmly as Toby was cuffed. The sheriff appeared, confirming they recorded Toby's extortion threats. Toby glared at Ivan, eyes wild with hatred. "You set me up again," Ivan replied, voice cold. "You set yourself up by threatening Hallie." Toby spat, but the deputies dragged him away, reading his Miranda rights. A final attempt to break Ivan had failed. Toby's last act of defiance ended in humiliating arrest. Back at the cabin, Ivan recounted the successful ambush to Hallie. She listened wide-eyed, exhaling relief when she heard Toby was in custody again. "He threatened to come after me?" she asked, voice trembling. Ivan nodded grimly. He sealed his fate. Delgado's men recorded every word. She sank into the couch, tears slipping out. "Thank God it's over. I was so scared each night, imagining him lurking." Ivan knelt beside her, gently brushing away her tears. "He can't hurt you now. We did this to ensure your safety." She whispered, "Thank you," then sobbed into his chest, months of anxiety unraveling. That night they shared a quiet dinner, the sense of a massive weight lifting. Hallie glowed with renewed hope, no longer glancing around fearfully. Ivan felt a wave of triumph wash through him. The last link to his old nightmare was neutralized. Toby's final gambit ended behind bars, with fresh felony charges guaranteeing a lengthy prison term. The war was truly over. Over the next week, Miss Harding confirmed Toby's new charges: illegal firearm possession as a felon, extortion threat, violation of parole. She predicted Toby might face an additional 510 years. No parole board would trust him again. The city's media barely covered it. Toby was old news. For Ivan, it was final closure. He visited the sheriff's office to sign statements, ensuring everything was airtight. Delgado shook his hand. "Glad we could help." Toby was a ticking bomb. Ivan thanked him, returning home to Hallie with an unburdened spirit. They sat on the cabin porch that evening, watching the sunset over the pines, hands entwined. She whispered, "You did it. We're safe." He pressed a soft kiss to her temple. "We overcame them all. This place is ours to build a future." A hush of contentment settled. With Toby's threat neutralized, Hallie poured her energy into her culinary passion. The lodge's chef offered her a permanent sous chef role, praising her artistry. She also toyed with the idea of opening a small cafe or bistro in Pinewood Heights, focusing on fresh, local fare. Louisa from Northern Vista even hinted the agency would help brand and market it. Ivan encouraged her wholeheartedly, seeing the sparkle in her eyes when she talked about menu ideas. One Saturday morning, Hallie and Ivan strolled a quaint vacant storefront near Main Street. The space had a cozy interior, large windows perfect for a cafe. Hallie stood inside, imagining small tables, a rustic counter, the smell of baking bread. She turned to Ivan, excitement shining. "If I save up enough, I can lease this spot. Do you think it's crazy?" Ivan smiled. "It's not crazy if you love it. Let's talk a modest business plan." She beamed. The possibility of a shared dream formed in that sunlit moment. Just as things stabilized, Hallie's ex reappeared in town, spotted by Shane outside the woodshed, asking about Hallie. He claimed he needed to close accounts with her. Shane confronted him, warning him to stay away or face the biker crew's wrath. The ex left, muttering. Hallie learned of the incident, growing anxious. Ivan calmed her. "He's not Toby, but we'll still be prepared." She nodded, trusting him. Sure enough, the ex tried cornering Hallie outside a grocery store one afternoon, demanding she repay some alleged joint debt. She refused, telling him to get a lawyer or file small claims. He tried to grab her arm, but an onlooker intervened. The ex stormed off, cursing. Hallie reported it to Deputy Delgado, who filed a harassment complaint. Within days, the ex seemed to vanish again. Possibly the tight-knit community made him realize intimidation wouldn't work here. Hallie sighed relief, hoping it was the last she'd see of him. With Toby's fiasco resolved and Hallie's ex backing off, Ivan proposed a short weekend getaway to a nearby lake resort, just for them to decompress. She enthusiastically agreed. They booked a cozy lakeside cabin, ironic that they'd go from one cabin to another, but this time purely for fun. The weekend was blissful: canoe rides on the shimmering lake, evening bonfires, stargazing from the dock. Hallie, leaning on Ivan's shoulder, commented how surreal it felt to be free from fear. He squeezed her hand, murmuring they'd both earned this peace. The bond between them deepened in the hush of nature, reinforcing how far they'd come. On the last night, sipping hot cocoa under the stars, Hallie shyly said, "I know we've never spoken about marriage or the future in specifics, but I want a real life with you. If that's something you want, too." Ivan, heart pounding, gently smiled. "I do want that. Let's keep building step by step." She cuddled closer, content with that promise. Returning from the trip, they found Miss Harding's message. Toby accepted a plea deal that gave him 8 years behind bars. No parole for the first half. Miss Harding's email ended with, "You're fully safe from Toby's threats now. Guaranteed." Ivan read it aloud to Hallie, who exhaled with a bright smile. The man who once fueled so much chaos was gone for nearly a decade. Ivan felt an immense wave of relief. He texted Miss Harding his thanks. Then he looked at Hallie, who was tearing up from joy. They hugged in the cabin's living room. No more shadows from Toby. Their future was wide open. With Toby behind bars for years, Hallie's ex lurking no more, and Francesca's chapter closed, Ivan stood on the threshold of a truly unburdened life. He had the thriving ad role at Northern Vista, a supportive community, and a deepening love with Hallie. He'd finally banished every remnant of betrayal from his old life. That evening, they sat at the dining table discussing new ideas for Hallie's cafe concept. A casual mention of, "Maybe in a year or two we can get married," from Hallie made them both grin shyly, acknowledging that the possibility was real. Ivan felt no fear of illusions. He'd learned to trust a partner who deserved it. Outside, nightfall settled over Pinewood Heights, but inside the cabin, light glowed with warmth and promise. With Toby's menace eradicated, the final storm had passed. Soon, Ivan would open the door to the final stage, a life built on honesty, loyalty, and love. Hallie's head rested on his shoulder, eyes drifting closed. He stroked her hair softly, content that the next day brought only more blessings. Chapter 12. An open door to forever. Another 6 months slipped by, weaving a tapestry of normalcy and joy. Ivan continued leading creative initiatives at Northern Vista. He garnered accolades for a statewide tourism campaign spotlighting Pinewood Heights' natural wonders. The town's economy bloomed, partially thanks to his marketing prowess. Louisa Moran often praised him publicly, calling him the best decision we ever hired. Hallie finished her lodge apprenticeship with top commendations. The lodge offered her a stable sous chef position. Meanwhile, she collaborated with the local bank on a small business loan, aiming to open a modest cafe downtown Hallie's Hearth. The approval process inched forward, local investors intrigued by her talent. Ivan stood by her side, offering ad concepts and brand design. She'd beam, realizing they made a formidable team. In everyday life, they were simply a devoted couple. Hallie had a small corner of the cabin for her recipes and cookbooks. Ivan had his home office for ad strategy. Evenings, they cuddled on the porch swing, watching the sun dip behind the pines. The once-haunted glint in Hallie's eyes softened into genuine happiness. Ivan, too, carried no more shadows of Francesca or Toby. Hallie found allies among Ivan's biker friends. They offered help renovating the old storefront on Main Street she leased for her cafe dream. Shane coordinated volunteers to tear out old carpeting, repaint walls, haul in used kitchen equipment. Hallie marveled at their generosity. She said to Ivan, "I expected to do this alone. Now it feels like half the town's pitching in." He grinned. Pinewood Heights stands with those who put in honest effort. She softly kissed his cheek, whispering, "Thank you for bringing me into this world." On Saturdays, while Hallie oversaw painting or tested new menu items, Ivan popped in, guiding the marketing angles. He shot social media teasers. Coming soon, Hallie's Hearth locally sourced comfort food. The community buzzed with anticipation. Everyone sensed a success story unfolding, a once homeless waitress turning budding chef entrepreneur. Out of the blue, Ivan received an email from Francesca. The subject line, closure. He debated deleting it unread, but curiosity nudged him. The contents were surprisingly contrite. Ivan, I know we said goodbye, but I keep hearing echoes of how I caused so much pain. I'm not asking for forgiveness, just wanted to say I've realized my mistakes. Toby manipulated me, but I allowed it because of my own vanity. I know you're with someone new, living in some mountain town. I guess I'm glad you found happiness. Take care. Francesca Ivan read it twice. He felt no anger, only a distant pity. He typed a brief reply. I accept your acknowledgement. Our lives are separate now. Wishing you peace. Then he archived the thread. Hallie, seeing him a bit pensive, asked if everything was okay. He showed her the email. She read it silently, then nodded. Seems she's finally facing reality. Ivan shrugged. Better late than never. Doesn't change anything for me, though. They hugged, letting that final ghost slip away. After months of preparation, Hallie's hearth neared completion. The building's interior gleamed with fresh paint, reclaimed wood tables, a small counter with a display case for baked goods. The menu featured Hallie's hearty stews, breads, and pastries, plus a rotating daily special. Posters around town announced the grand opening. Ivan designed tasteful signage, Hallie's hearth where heartfelt cooking warms you. On opening day, a Saturday morning, lines formed outside even before the 8 a.m. start. Locals, curious visitors, the biker crew, Northern Vista colleagues, all showed up. Hallie, wearing a chef's apron with her name embroidered, greeted them with bright eyes. The cafe quickly filled with customers praising the aromatic coffee, flaky pastries, and cozy ambiance. Ivan assisted at the register, helping manage the crowd. They shared joyous grins every time their eyes met. By noon, the cafe sold out of many items. Hallie was elated, yet exhausted. Late afternoon, she collapsed into a chair, covered in flour dust, face shining with triumph. We did it, she whispered, tears brimming. Ivan crouched beside her, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead. You did it, Hallie. This is your victory. She shook her head. Ours. I wouldn't be here without you. A hush of love. The customers applauded the official success. 3 days after the cafe opening, Hallie's ex reappeared, strolling in casually. She froze, but Ivan was there, reading in a corner seat. The ex claimed to want to congratulate her new venture. Hallie eyed him warily. Don't you dare start trouble. He raised hands in mock surrender. Chill, I'm not violent. Just want to see if you can give me a job or some money. I'm broke. Ivan stood, expression hard as steel. She owes you nothing. Leave. The ex tried guilt-tripping, saying he supported her once. Hallie shook her head. You abused me, drained me financially. Now you want pity? No. The ex's face twisted. Then he lunged at Hallie, but Ivan was faster. He blocked the ex, twisting his arm. The ex yelped, customers watching in alarm. A local deputy, grabbing lunch, sprang into action, quickly arresting the ex for assault. Another humiliating takedown. Hallie trembled but felt relieved. The deputy escorted the ex away. Ivan held her, murmuring, "No one will bully you again." She nodded, tears of gratitude shining in her eyes. As winter holidays approached, Pinewood Heights embraced a festive mood with lights and decorations. Hallie's hearth thrived lines out the door, featured articles in the local paper praising Chef Hallie's remarkable journey. Northern Vista marketing soared, bringing on new clients across the region. Ivan's life brimmed with contentment, the cabin radiating warmth. On Christmas Eve, after a busy day at the cafe, Hallie returned to find Ivan had transformed the cabin's living room with soft candlelight, a modest Christmas tree, and gentle music playing. She blinked in wonder. Ivan greeted her with a tender kiss. Then, in front of the fireplace, he produced a small box, a ring. She gasped, hand flying to her mouth. Ivan's voice trembled slightly. Hallie, you turned my life around after so much betrayal. You showed me trust can exist. Love can heal wounds. Will you marry me? And let's build a family? A future here? Tears streamed down her cheeks. Yes, yes. She threw her arms around him, laughter mixing with sobs. The ring fit perfectly. They kissed under the twinkling tree lights, officially sealing their union. Outside, snow began to drift. A perfect holiday scene. Shortly after Christmas, Danielle Francesca's ex-friend texted Ivan that she'd be passing through Pinewood Heights, asking to drop in for coffee. Ivan hesitated, but Hallie insisted it might be fine. Danielle arrived at Hallie's hearth during a quiet afternoon. She admired the cozy cafe, congratulating Hallie. In a corner booth, Danielle sheepishly updated them. Francesca was drifting between small gigs, apparently more subdued. Toby was locked up for years to come. The old friend circle disbanded. Danielle confessed she was exploring relocating to find real happiness. Ivan gave a supportive nod. Hallie offered a free slice of pie. Danielle looked grateful. "It's nice to see a happy ending for you, Ivan. You overcame everything." He gave a small smile. "Thanks. Wishing you your own fresh start." She parted amicably. No drama. A quiet closing chapter on the old city life. By springtime, Ivan and Hallie decided on a simple wedding ceremony amid the pines. They chose a scenic clearing near Pinewood Heights, ringed by tall evergreens, with a small river running by. They invited a modest group: the biker friends, Northern Vista colleagues, local folks from the woodshed, and some new cafe staff. Miss Harding came up from the old city, beaming. Even Mason and Kim from Ivan's prior agency visited, thrilled to see him so happy. Hallie wore a simple off-white gown, hair in loose curls, a hint of flowers woven. Ivan stood in a dark suit, an understated grin reflecting his calm pride. The ceremony was brief but deeply heartfelt. Hallie spoke her vows, mentioning how Ivan's kindness rescued her from despair, how he was the first man who never betrayed her trust. Ivan, in turn, vowed never to be naive again, but always to trust her unwavering loyalty. The small crowd teared up at the sincerity. They exchanged rings, sealed with a tender kiss, applause echoing through the pines. After the wedding, the newlyweds enjoyed a short honeymoon at a nearby spa resort. Soaking in hot springs under star-filled skies, they talked about children, a bigger cabin, maybe expanding Hallie's hearth into a second location eventually. Hallie shyly admitted she wanted kids someday, not immediately, but soon. Ivan smiled, remembering how Francesca had once imposed a no-child clause. Now, free from that tyranny, he felt genuine excitement at fatherhood. No illusions, no constraints, just love. Returning from the honeymoon, the cabin felt even more like a true home. The synergy of their life was remarkable. Hallie woke early to prep the cafe. Ivan balanced Northern Vista's campaigns. Evenings, they regrouped for cozy dinners, sometimes laughing about comedic kitchen mishaps or marketing fumbles. Friends popped by, the community forming a supportive family. Pinewood Heights indeed had become Ivan's rightful domain. A year after Toby's final arrest, on a balmy summer dusk, Ivan and Hallie lounged on the porch swing, sipping cold lemonades, the hush of forest enveloping them. Hallie rested her head on Ivan's shoulder, content. He gazed at her ring, recalling the journey from heartbreak to redemption. He'd faced betrayal from Francesca, sabotage by Toby, overcame false accusations, survived attempts on his safety, found refuge in Pinewood Heights, discovered genuine love with Hallie. He thought of Toby locked away, Francesca drifting, Nicholas out of the picture, all illusions from his old life dismantled by his unwavering stance. Now he felt unstoppable but also at peace, forging a future that valued loyalty and honesty above all. Hallie squeezed his hand, asking softly, "Everything okay?" He brushed a kiss on her hair. Perfect. Lightning bugs danced among the pines. The final vestiges of the old war had vanished. In its place lay an open horizon, a home, a thriving career, a beloved wife, and the promise of a family untainted by lies. The camera, figuratively, panned out, revealing Ivan's calm smile as he savored the fruit of his hard-fought victory, a life built on trust, sincerity, and a new legacy far removed from betrayal.